questioning. And this is the latest that we get to learn through our police sources, that Rashmi, who is A2 in this POCSO case, who was also a warden at Mutt Hostel, has been arrested by the police.
Right. Sagai, just stay on with us, because what you're telling us is the latest piece of information that's coming in as far as this case is concerned. The Murugha Mutt's warden now has been arrested. Remember, Rashmi was in fact detained by the police yesterday for questioning. She is the second accused who has now been arrested in this case. The Karnataka police has told our correspondents and colleagues on the ground that they've tracked all the accused in the case. So finally, the police seems to be acting, the police seems to be moving after immense pressure from the citizens on the ground, people who've taken to the streets in Chitradurga, in Mysuru, in Bengaluru, and of course the media as well. India Today relentlessly covered this story since the FIR was lodged in this, forcing the police's hand eventually in concluding with the arrest of the Seer, the prime accused in this case, who is currently, of course, sitting in hospital having complained of chest pain. But now the warden, Rashmi, has been arrested. Sagai, my colleague, in fact, breaking that information here first on India Today. Sagai, for the benefit of our viewers, give us a sense of what Rashmi has been accused of by the victims in this case.
Rashmi is a warden in this particular hospital, and she is a person who should take care of the children. She is caretaker of these kids who are staying in this girls' hospital. And what we get to learn is she's played an instrumental role when it comes to these kind of crime, because she was in hand in gloves with the Seer as well as the other accused in this particular case. And the caretaker who was supposed to take care of these girls have been helping Seer to sexually assault these girls. So this is what it has been mentioned in the complaint copy, and she is also one of the main accused, that is A2 in this entire case. Apart from that, there are 3 more people where police have not issued any notice so far, and they will issue a notice probably by end of the day. When SP Parshuram spoke to us yesterday, he went on to say that they know about their whereabouts, they are tracking them, and probably even they might get arrested as soon as possible. But the latest information what we get right now is that Rashmi, who is A2, has been arrested in a POCSO case.
Okay, so Rashmi, who is the second accused in this case, has now been arrested. Sagai, we presume that soon the police will be producing her in court and seeking custody?
Absolutely, it is a part of protocol which where the police will produce the accused in front of the magistrate court, and they will also seek either judicial custody or police custody. But in this particular case,
just hold on for a minute. Just hold on for a minute. We're getting more information that's coming in right now. Fast-paced developments in this case this afternoon, viewers. The Seer's lawyer is to file a bail plea tomorrow. This was, of course, something which was anticipated. Remember, he had already filed an anticipatory bail plea in the court yesterday, in the Chitradurga court yesterday, which was posted for today. But because he has been arrested, he has to now apply for normal bail, and that bail plea will be applied for by his lawyer tomorrow. Sagai, my colleague, is bringing us that piece of information as well. Sagai, give us a sense of how the Seer and his legal team are likely to proceed in this matter. What we're hearing right now is that they're going to file for bail tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yesterday, the anticipatory bail was heard, and there was an objection which was been allowed to be filed by the opposition lawyers. Yesterday, they took time that they will be filing today. But since he has been arrested last night, this anticipatory bail plea will not work. Now, he had to approach for a regular bail. And when we spoke to the lawyer, Umesh, who was near the hospital, he went on to say that they were thinking to move today. Unfortunately, the Seer was been shifted to hospital. They all are here, so they have to do their documentation, and probably they might move the bail plea either in Karnataka High Court or any of the lower courts in Chitradurga. So we need to wait and watch when they are going to move this, because it is going to be very crucial, because remember, POCSO is very serious in nature, is a non-bailable offence, and they might try to find a legal loophole in this particular case and try to apply for a regular bail tomorrow.
Okay, so there is still a possibility that they could find legal loopholes despite the fact that POCSO is of course a non-bailable offence. If you've been booked and charged under POCSO, it is non-bailable. But clearly the Seer over here looking for all kinds of legal loopholes after having dodging the law for about 6 days before the police finally acted and arrested him in this matter. Also, as far as what's happening in the hospital at the moment, Sagai, can you tell us what's going on at the moment? How long has it been since he's been in the ICU? Any information that you're learning?
See, he's been shifted for more than half an hour now, and you can see here he is at the ICU. The security has been deployed. They are not allowing anybody to enter apart from the doctors and medical staff. He was initially shifted to a different block where he has underwent several tests, and thereafter the doctors felt that he should be shifted to the ICU, and from there they had shuttled ambulance from one block to another block, and now he's been shifted to ICU where he is undergoing treatment. So far we haven't got any kind of health bulletin or health update on Shivamurthy Shannaru. As we speak, he is undergoing treatment where the medical staff, doctors are treating him, and the police are giving enough bandobast security for this entire place. They are not allowing any other people, including media or anybody, to enter because it is ICU, and as we speak now, he is undergoing treatment inside ICU.
Okay. Sagai, of course, they're reporting live from the Chitradurga hospital, bringing us all the latest updates in this case. Remember, it was India Today's relentless coverage that finally forced the police's hand, and they arrested the Chitradurga Seer accused of child rape. He, of course, now is in hospital having complained of chest pain. Sagai, thank you so much for joining us with those details. Shifting focus now, after drug conspiracy, now shocking updates come through on the Sonali Phogat death case. India Today has accessed footage of the accused Sukhwinder, aide of Sonali's PA Sudhir Sangwan. The video clip in which Sukhwinder is seen talking to a person is said to be of a few hours post Sonali's death and is being examined by the Goa police in order to identify whether Sonali had transferred any money in Sudhir Sangwan's account. Goa police has now procured account details of 2 bank accounts of Sonali Phogat. One account is with a public sector bank and another is with a private bank. Now this after cops visited Hisar Tehsildar office to examine the lease agreement prepared by Sudhir Sangwan, who wanted Phogat's farmhouse for 20 years on lease for only 60,000 rupees per annum. Meanwhile, Sonali's brother-in-law claims that the farmhouse and the Santnagar house were ancestral properties transferred in Sonali's name after her husband Sanjay Phogat's death in 2016. So that video of one of the aides, one of the accused in the case, Sukhwinder, just a few hours after Sonali's death, he seems to be talking to someone. The Goa police is, of course, examining that. And that, of course, is a very critical piece of CCTV image, which the Goa police is going to register as evidence when they file this case in the court as well. In their charge sheet, that image of Sudhir Sangwan, one of the prime accused in this case, Sonali's assistant, her personal secretary, who seems to be forcing a spiked drink, the police said, forcing Sonali to drink it, and that was at the Curly's Club where she was on the night of her death. This mystery becoming extremely murky. Manjeet Sehgal is now joining me live on this. Manjeet, several angles that seem to be emerging as far as the Sonali Phogat death case is concerned. In which direction are the Goa and Haryana police now headed?
Well, Polomi, this is the third day when Goa police landed here at Hisar. Goa police during the 3 days have applied for the certified copies of the documents pertaining to the land and other properties owned by Sonali Phogat. The police is also seeking bank account details of Sonali Phogat, one from a private bank and another from a public sector bank where Sonali Phogat held to 2 accounts. Police in fact wanted to find out whether Sudhir Pal Sangwan got any money transfers from Sonali Phogat's bank accounts. Besides this, the documents being sought from the collectorate are to confirm the allegations as leveled by the family that Sudhir Pal Sangwan fraudulently transferred one of the properties and was even trying to get the farmhouse on a lease. So these are two important things which the Goa police is trying to find out. In fact, police is trying to build this case stronger and trying to collect the evidences. Meanwhile, the family of Sonali Phogat is still in favor of CBI probe, saying the Goa police is just doing the formalities and is not arresting the actual face, the real faces, who masterminded this murder, saying that there are several big faces who belong to the political parties, as Adampur, from where Sonali Phogat had contested the assembly election in 2019, who were against her. So these are the angles which family members are now suggesting, and have said that after the Goa police will leave Hisar, they will be meeting the Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal Khattar to push the demand for a CBI probe.
All right, so the family there, of course, insistent on a CBI probe as far as this death mystery goes. Manjeet, thank you so much for joining us. Now, another case of assault by a stalker shocks the national capital. The assailant, identified as Amanat Ali, shot an 11th class student, Naina, when she was returning from school last week. CCTV footage of the attack has come out today. While the stalker has been nabbed by the cops, the schoolgirl Naina is currently battling for her life in hospital. Here's a report.
जैसे उसके लिए अभी हम मर रहे हैं, उसको वही सजाए हो जाए।
आप ऐसा चाहती?
Another day, another predator targeting India's beti. Shocking CCTV images from capital Delhi, where stalker Amanat Ali opened fire at teenager Naina Mishra, a student of class 11. Ali was harassing Naina for months by stalking her on Instagram. Naina was shot by Amanat and two of his associates while returning from school. Naina's fault, she had blocked the stalker Amanat Ali on Instagram, as she was fed up with his lewd advances. She still has the bullet lodged in her shoulder.
जब से हमारे साथ ये हादसा हुआ, अब पुलिस दिखती है हमें, और ये कितने दिन दिखती है ये भी देखने की चीज़ है। ठीक है सर। और दूसरी बात यह है कि बच्ची सुरक्षित कैसे है? अपनी माँ के साथ नहीं है, अपने पिताजी के साथ नहीं है, तो किसके साथ सुरक्षित है ये बता दीजिए।
Delhi cops arrested the stalker Amanat Ali along with two others who had helped him target Naina.
तुमने दो लोग हायर करे थे? दो लोगों को पहले सिर्फ लड़की को मारने के लिए किए थे। क्या हुआ था ऐसा?
ये सब झूठ है।
क्या झूठ है? बताओ ना फिर क्या है, असल क्या है? असल क्या है? बताओ क्या हुआ, असल क्या है? बताओ।
हमारे स्पेशल स्टाफ की टीम को सीक्रेट इंफॉर्मेशन मिली कि मेन अक्यूज जो अमानत अली है वो त्रिलोकपुरी में आएगा किसी से मिलने के लिए। हमने अपने टीम को वहां स्टेशन कर दिया एंड अमानत अली को कल रात को हमने उठाया। आज हमने अरेस्ट कर लिया है। ही हैज एडमिटेड टू द क्राइम।
Arvind Kejriwal blamed the Delhi LG and the Centre for the crime, but erroneously called Naina as deceased.
एक बच्ची को गोली मार के 3 लड़कों ने उसकी हत्या कर दी। इसकी हम कठोर निंदा करते हैं। उसमें से 2 लड़के बता रहे हैं पकड़े गए हैं, एक अभी भी फरार है, वो भी पकड़ा गया है। इस किस्म की इंसिडेंट्स किसी भी सभ्य सोसाइटी में शोभा नहीं देते, उसकी हम कड़ी निंदा करते हैं।
The crime is a chilling rerun of 2020 murder of Faridabad girl Nikita Tomar on the outskirts of Delhi. Nikita was killed by stalker Tausif and his friend Rehman right outside her college. She was killed for refusing to marry him and convert to Islam. The crime that was caught on camera had numbed India. The capital horror comes days after another stalker, Shah Rukh, burnt alive Jharkhand girl Ankita, who had spurned his advances. The stalker killer had outraged India by brazenly smiling in police custody. Ankita, in her dying declaration, had sought death penalty for Shah Rukh.
हम घर में अपने पापा को 10 बजे रात को आए, पापा को बोले, पापा ने ठीक है सुबह होगा तो देखते हैं। और उसने 4 बजे आके खिड़की से पेट्रोल फेंक के और आग जला के भाग गया।
तो पेट्रोल कहाँ पर फेंका गया?
पेट्रोल एक डिब्बा में 2 लड़का था, वो और एक छोटुआ था। हम खिड़की खोल के देखे।
How many more Nainas, Ankitas and Nikitas to go before India sternly deals with those preying on its daughters?
जैसे उसके लिए अभी हम मर रहे हैं, उसको वही सजा हो जाए।
आप ऐसा चाहती?
हाँ।
With Himanshu Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Slipping into a short break, coming up next, in a big boost to the Indian Armed Forces, India gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier. Prime Minister Modi inducts the 20,000 crore INS Vikrant.
इंडिया टुडे मीडिया इंस्टीट्यूट आपको दे रहा है मौका देश के नंबर 1 न्यूज चैनल के साथ पत्रकारिता के गुर सीखने का।
रजिस्टर करने के लिए www.indiatodaymediainstitute.in पर विजिट करें। Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
News coming in right now. Politics erupts over INS Vikrant. Congress attacks Modi over INS Vikrant commissioning. Jairam Ramesh has said that INS Vikrant is the collective effort of all governments. Jairam Ramesh has tweeted, and I quote, India's first indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant commissioned today is a collective effort of all governments since 1999. Will Prime Minister acknowledge? Let's also recall original INS Vikrant that served us well in the 1971 war. Much reviled Krishna Menon played a key role in getting it from the United Kingdom, unquote. So Jairam Ramesh, of course, saying that all governments and their efforts since 1999 should be in fact acknowledged today as INS Vikrant is commissioned. Will the Prime Minister acknowledge that? Listen in to Jairam Ramesh.
20-22 साल लगे हैं डिज़ाइन करने में, मैन्युफैक्चर करने में, ट्रायल करने में। तो ये सब अगर आप INS विक्रांत का मील पत्थर देखें, ये 1999 में शुरू होता है और कमीशन आज हुआ है। आज के प्रधानमंत्री तो फोटो लेंगे, बड़े बड़े भाषण देंगे और कहेंगे मैं आया 2014 में ये सब शुरुआत हुई। ये बिल्कुल गलत है। कभी ना कभी गलती से भी हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को स्वीकारना चाहिए कि शासन में निरंतरता होता है।
Indian Navy gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant. Prime Minister Narendra Modi commissioned the next-gen INS Vikrant, the largest ship ever built in India's maritime history in Kochi. Calling Vikrant symbol of indigenous potential, Prime Minister Modi said that the warship will create new confidence in India. With the commissioning of INS Vikrant, India has joined an elite league of countries with capabilities to indigenously design and build an aircraft carrier. Vikrant is a carrier housing state-of-the-art automation features and built at a cost of 20,000 crore rupees. The carrier has a capacity to house 1,750 soldiers and can park up to 6 helicopters and 12 fighter jets. The new aircraft carrier is named after the INS Vikrant that played a defining role in India's war with Pakistan in 1971.
इन पंच प्राणों में पहला प्राण है विकसित भारत का बड़ा संकल्प। दूसरा प्राण है गुलामी की मानसिकता का संपूर्ण त्याग। तीसरा प्राण है अपनी विरासत पर गर्व। चौथा और पांचवा प्राण है देश की एकता, एकजुटता और नागरिक कर्तव्य। INS विक्रांत के निर्माण और इसकी यात्रा में हम इन सभी पंच प्राणों की ऊर्जा को देख सकते हैं। INS विक्रांत इस ऊर्जा का जीवन संयंत्र है। अभी तक इस तरह के एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर केवल विकसित देश ही बनाते थे। आज भारत ने इस लीग में शामिल होकर विकसित राष्ट्र की दिशा में एक और कदम बढ़ा दिया है। साथियों, जल परिवहन के क्षेत्र में भारत का बहुत गौरवमयी इतिहास रहा है। हमारी समृद्ध विरासत रही है। हमारे यहां नौकाओं और जहाजों से जुड़े श्लोकों में बताया गया है, दीर्घिका तरणी ही लोला गत्वरा गामिनी तरीहि जंगाला प्लाविनी चैव धारिणी वेगिनी तथा। ये हमारे शास्त्रों में इतना वर्णन है। दीर्घिका, तरुणी लोला, गत्वरा, गामिनी, जंगाला, प्लाविनी, धारिणी, वेगिनी हमारे यहां जहाजों और नौकाओं के अलग अलग आकार और प्रकार होते थे। हमारे वेदों में भी नौकाओं, जहाजों और समुद्र से जुड़े कितने ही मंत्र आते हैं। वैदिक काल से लेकर गुप्त काल और मौर्य काल तक भारत के समुद्री सामर्थ्य का डंका पूरे विश्व में बजता था।
हमारे फ्रेंडली फॉरेन कंट्रीज के लिए यह कमीशनिंग एक आश्वासन भी है कि हम हमारी कलेक्टिव सिक्योरिटी की जरूरतों को पूरा करने में पूरी तरह से सक्षम हैं। हम एक फ्री, ओपन एंड इंक्लूसिव इंडो पैसिफिक में विश्वास रखते हैं। इस संबंध में हमारे प्रयास माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के विजन सागर यानी सिक्योरिटी एंड ग्रोथ फॉर ऑल इन द रीजन से गाइडेड है।
So that is, of course, a big moment for the Indian Armed Forces. INS Vikrant, India's first indigenously built aircraft carrier, being commissioned today by Prime Minister Modi. My colleague Abhishek Bhalla is live from the Cochin shipyard with me at the moment. Abhishek, of course, a very proud moment for the country over there. But what next now for INS Vikrant after the commissioning? Okay, we'll try and connect with my colleague Abhishek, who has been bringing us all the live updates through this morning as INS Vikrant was in fact commissioned by Prime Minister Modi, who was in Kochi himself in the presence of the Defence Minister Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh as well. A proud moment for the country. Here's a report in fact by my colleague Abhishek Bhalla from inside INS Vikrant.
Topmost deck of this aircraft carrier. This is the place from where all air operations are controlled, and we can see the two runways very clearly from here. This will give you an idea how exactly air operations will take place. The round circles with numbers, that says 3, it says 2, 1, those are meant for helicopters to be stationed, and the two runways are divided in between with a white lining. One is the red one, the other is the yellow one. Two runways are there. One is a shorter one, the other a longer one. The shorter one for operations to be launched quickly when the aircraft can fly without a payload. But if an offensive operation is to be launched with a heavy payload, that's when the longer runway has to be used. It's still going to take at least 4 months for air operations to start on INS Vikrant. With camera person Satya Rotre on board INS Vikrant, Abhishek Bhalla for India Today.
Now that INS Vikrant is officially commissioned, the ship will now act as a deterrent amid China's growing presence in the Indian Ocean region. The indigenously built aircraft carrier will strengthen the country's maritime force with capabilities to operate over deep seas. Here's the detailed report.
The commissioning of Vikrant couldn't have come at a better time. With growing presence of Chinese Navy in the Indian Ocean, enhancing maritime operational capabilities is the need of the hour. "30 aircraft, 18 fighter jets like the MiG-29K, Camel, and newly inducted from the US MH-60 Romeo helicopters will be operated. This will enable sea control far off from the country, both in war and peacetime. The new MH-60 Romeos are lethal in anti-submarine warfare. It will take a while before the fighters start operations. Vikrant will be combat ready by the end of the year, fully equipped with Barak missiles and fighter jets, taking off within 2 to 3 seconds of one landing.
Aircraft carrier generally are described with the propulsion and kind of launch capability they have. As we have seen, our previous 3 carriers were steam driven and we are GT ship. So this gives us a lot of flexibility of undertaking operations at extended range. Further, being an indigenously designed ship, this provides us the capability to operate various aircrafts and generate better sortie rates and better capability to evolve and execute various missions that we are tasked with.
India till now currently has INS Vikrant as the only operational aircraft carrier, while INS Vikrant should be ready for operations within a year. Indian Navy has been insisting for a 3rd aircraft carrier.
The capability that we envisage is to safeguard our national interest. That, having said so, would include a 3rd carrier to begin with. With the capability that we envisage to have, we don't have any adversary per se in our scope. With this capability, we would be able to take on any challenge, anytime and anywhere.
With 3 you mean? So with 3 aircraft carriers?
That's right. So the concept is to build capability, and if you are capable, no other adversary would think of having any misadventure.
On the other hand, the Chinese Navy has 2 functional aircraft carriers, with the 3rd one expected to hit the seas soon. But will take a while for it to be fully operational, and a 4th one is also in the pipeline. Air operations are most crucial for an aircraft carrier, adding a punch to warfare capabilities. The challenges in these operations are unique, very different from operating air assets from land.
At the topmost deck of this aircraft carrier, this is a place from where all air operations are controlled, and we can see the 2 runways very clearly from here. This will give you an idea how exactly air operations will take place. The round circles with numbers, that says 3, it says 2, 1, those are meant for helicopters to be stationed, and the 2 runways are divided in between with a white lining. One is the red one, the other is the yellow one. 2 runways are there, one is a shorter one, the other a longer one. The shorter one for operations to be launched quickly when the aircraft can fly without a payload. But if an offensive operation is to be launched with a heavy payload, that's when the longer runway has to be used. It's still going to take at least 4 months for air operations to start on INS Vikrant, even though it's going to be commissioned, but it will take some time because the aircraft carrier has to set sail for air operations to be carried out in totality.
This compartment is known as flight control position, or in short FLICO. This compartment is responsible for all the flying related activities which are happening either on flight deck or in air. The flight safety aspect is responsible. This compartment is responsible for those activities. The movement of all the personnel, the safety of men and material, the safety of the aircraft, the landing, the takeoff, everything is controlled from this compartment.
So can you give us a lowdown on how many aircraft are going to be there on board at one point of time?
The ship is capable of carrying approx 30 aircraft in different variations, in different configurations. So at a point of time, it depends on which mission am I going for. So I can carry in the different configurations of fighters and helicopters.
It's the largest warship ever to be built in the maritime history of India. INS Vikrant has a large number of indigenous equipment and machinery, right from ensuring hot-cooked meals for 1,700 personnel on board to having all medical facilities. The ship is all set to sail and soar high in the sky.
An aircraft carrier is a mini floating airbase at sea which sets it apart from other warships in terms of operations, reach and complexities. From ensuring hot-cooked meals for 1,700 personnel on board to having all medical facilities. All needs are to be catered on board. Apart from the glorious exterior, the warship is a technological wonder.
Everything you look at it, there's a hospital complex on the ship. Probably the Indian Navy, because there's 1,600 souls live on this ship, and this would be the fleet would be revolving around this vessel. So the medical complex itself spread over more than 30 compartments with a full-fledged CT scan and operation theatre, dental clinic, telemedicine. So there is a kind of thought process that's gone on this vessel.
It might not seem so at the first glance, but the length and breadth of this flight deck is equivalent to almost 2 football fields. Not just this, 21,000 tons of steel have been used in just the hull of the warship, which they say is equivalent to at least 3 Eiffel Towers. That's just a small bit of information to explain how much effort, hard work and labor has gone into ensuring this mammoth warship is all ready and set to sail.
In spite of India's glorious maritime heritage, there was no indigenous warship design or warship building capability at the time of independence in 1947. It's been a long journey. Construction started in 2006. Finally, it will be sailing within a year. The earlier Vikrant has had a glorious past, playing a pivotal role in the 1971 war with Pakistan.
Being the first indigenous aircraft carrier, it means a lot. This heralds that India and Indian Navy is able to design, construct and operate this kind of a complex warship. It itself gives a boost to our indigenous capability of warship building. Whilst you must have followed up that last decade, we have inducted numerous platforms which have been indigenously designed and developed. A case in point being our indigenous submarines, our P-15 Bravo, Visakhapatnam class and other vessels. So this is coming of age, I would say, that we have started from a nascent stage and today we are able to construct an aircraft carrier.
At the bottom of the warship is the engine room, the place that gets the gigantic warship moving. The speed at which she travels is controlled from this place at the bottom of the 15 decks. The gas turbines is what gives Vikrant the extra power.
4 gas turbines are 24,000 megawatt each, so that's now 24,000 megawatt multiplied by 4. So that is 96,000 megawatt of installed power on the gas turbines. If you want to compare this with a mid-size tanker which we have built, that tanker would be only about 13,000 megawatt, 13 megawatt. So instead of that, you are saying 96 megawatt installed. You look at the electrical power on the ship. This is the propulsion power. The electrical power on the ship is 24 megawatt, 8 generating sets, each of 3 megawatt. Now this electrical power can actually I say a city like Kochi, probably the lighting loads of the city can be taken by this system.
The hangar area is around midway to the top.
There'll be at least 30 aircraft, which will include fighter aircraft as well as helicopters that can be stationed here. It will take some time for that to happen, but we'll also show you how operations will actually take place. Once the aircraft that are parked here are taken out in this area, this is the lift, and this lift will facilitate the aircraft going up to the flight deck. And similarly, if the aircraft have to be brought down, it will be the same lift that will bring them down and ensure that they are parked in safety in these hangars.
Other critical areas for operations are the electric room controlling power distribution and ship control center. Soon the Vikrant will set sail, enhancing India's maritime capabilities. Not one, but 2 aircraft carriers will be fully operational.
This ski jump is the last point where the aircraft touches before flying. And this will make sure that Indian Navy fighter jets on board INS Vikrant soar high. And when they do so, they will make sure that they keep a very close watch on every activity taking place in the high seas.
News coming in right now. Politics erupts over INS Vikrant commissioning after Congress's Jairam Ramesh taunts Prime Minister Modi about not acknowledging the efforts of past governments. The BJP has hit out. Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of the party, has tweeted, and I quote, "Trust Congress to once again do Rajniti over Rashtriya Suraksha. Jairam Babu take credit for not procuring bulletproof jackets for 8 to 9 years, not building the National War Memorial for decades, blocking Rafales, questioning the surgical strike and retaining the George's Cross," unquote. So now the BJP hitting out at the Congress. Remember earlier Jairam Ramesh had said that Prime Minister Modi should acknowledge the efforts of all governments since 1999 in the event that today, finally, INS Vikrant has been commissioned. Now the BJP has hit out and said, trust Congress to once again do Rajniti over Rashtriya Suraksha. And more politics now erupting over the new Navy ensign as well. The BJP has slammed the Congress, calling their mindset colonized. Tejasvi Surya, BJP MP, has tweeted, and I quote, "Atalji removed it, Congress added it back." Tejasvi Surya says it is pertinent to note that the Congress had reverted to the colonial King's Cross after Atalji's government had discarded it. Speaks volumes of the Congress's slavish and colonized mindset. This one picture, he's tweeted a picture over there as you can see on your screens. This one picture, he says, is enough to show the difference between the BJP worldview and the Congress one, unquote. So that is what Tejasvi Surya now has tweeted, and he says that it was the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government which had in fact removed the St. George's Cross from the Navy ensign, but it was added back by the Congress government when it came to power in 2004, and only up until now it was still there. But now in 2022, the NDA government again has removed it from the Navy ensign, and the new Navy ensign has been unveiled today by Prime Minister Modi in Kochi. And that's a wrap on this bulletin. For all the latest news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. Thanks for watching.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
In association with new Ather 450X, now with 146 kilometers range. Acco, download the app now.
Good afternoon and a warm welcome to India Today. I'm Paulami Saha. Here are the headlines we are tracking at the top of this hour. Murugha Seer shifted to hospital after complaining of chest pain. Tests conducted. This after rape accused Seer was sent to 14 days judicial custody. In a big boost to Indian Armed Forces, India gets first Indigenous aircraft carrier. Prime Minister Modi inducts the 20,000 crore INS Vikrant. Indian Navy freed from colonial relic. Navy flag loses St. George's Cross. Prime Minister Modi unveils new ensign for the Navy. More revelations in the Sonali Phogat murder case. Video of accused hours after the death of Sonali resurfaces. Sonali and PA's transactions under the lens. Bottle used to drug Sonali found. News coming in right now. Protests erupt across Karnataka against the rape-accused Seer. Davangere to Bengaluru, protesters take to the streets. Massive outrage against the Seer. The Murugha Seer is currently hospitalized with chest pain complaints. Arrested after 6 days of FIR being lodged. Protest march in Davangere against the Murugha Seer. Those visuals coming in of protests that have broken out across the state of Karnataka, from Bengaluru to Davangere, where protesters are demanding stringent action against the rape-accused Seer, who is currently hospitalized because he complained of chest pain and heartache. He is currently in hospital. Tests are being conducted and the police are then going to take a call as to whether he needs to be shifted to a bigger facility elsewhere, probably in Davangere itself or Shivamogga or even Bengaluru. Those protesters taking to the streets now demanding strict action against the rape-accused Seer, who was only arrested after much outrage from the citizens on the streets and relentless coverage by the media that in fact put the police on the spot, and the police was forced to finally act after 6 days of the FIR being lodged, arresting the accused in the case, the Chitradurga Seer, who is currently at the Chitradurga District Hospital. You can see the outrage over there on the streets. The people want action. They, in fact, have been telling India Today categorically that the way the Seer seems to have developed chest pain suddenly and has been hospitalized only goes to show the kind of long rope he's been given from the start itself, being treated as a VVIP in this case. He is accused of child rape, and yet the police took 6 days despite the POCSO Act being invoked against him, charges under SC/ST Atrocities Act also being levelled against him. Yet it took 6 days for the police to take him into custody, arrest him. Last night he was then sent into 14 days judicial custody. The police is to seek police remand, police custody today, but given the circumstances now where he has in fact landed in hospital having complained of chest pain, the police are yet to take a final call as to how they will be proceeding further in this matter. Another accused in the case has also been arrested. She is the warden of the Mutt hostel, Rashmi, who was taken in for questioning by the police yesterday earlier and has now been formally arrested by the police as well. The complainants in this case, the 2 minor girls, had said that Rashmi aided the Seer in the way that he went about sexually abusing children and girls in the hostel at the Mutt. Very serious and grave charges that were levelled against the Seer, that are levelled against the Seer, and yet there was absolute silence either from the political class or a show of support for him from the political class. Several people from the police establishment, from the political class, who showed up at his Mutt as well, extending their support for him, giving him a virtual clean chit ahead of his arrest. My colleague Sagai Raj is now joining me live on this. Sagai is at the Chitradurga Hospital where the Seer is at the moment. Sagai, what's happening in the hospital? It's been a few hours since he in fact was brought to the hospital and then of course shifted from one block to the other block to the ICU unit and is currently being quote-unquote treated or tests being conducted. Tell us what's happening.
So early in the morning, Seer was shifted to a different place, that is an emergency block where he was undergoing treatment. He had reported a chest pain as well as cardiac issue, and immediately he was shifted from Chitradurga prison to government hospital here in Chitradurga, and he was taken to emergency where they have done several tests at the hospital, and thereafter he's been shifted to the ICU. What we get to learn through DHO is that they have conducted echo, ECG and CT scan, and they are expecting a report from that, and the local physician of Chitradurga Hospital has suggested to get an expertise from the cardiologist. So the DHO have requested from SS Hospital to summon 2 cardiologists and who are already inside the ICU who are examining. So subsequently, once they give the report on the examination that they're going to conduct on his cardiology reports, the decision will be taken whether he will continue with the medication here at Chitradurga Hospital or he'll be moved to a better hospital either in Davangere or Shimoga or in Bengaluru. So these are the 3 options left with them. But so far we haven't got any report. What we also get to learn through our sources inside the hospital is that Shivamurthy Sharnuru did not have his dinner and breakfast, and even his oxygen level has gone down below 90. and there is a variation in his blood pressure, and he's 60 years old, and probably it was a shocker for him that there was a sudden arrest of him after 6 to 7 days of filing an FIR, and these are the repercussions of not having his food or stress. So we need to wait and watch what will be the final report from the two cardiologists who are already examining on Shivamurthy Sharnuru inside ICU.
Right. Sagai, stay on with us. We'll come back to you. Now, 6 days after the accusations of child rape first came to the fore, the Murugha Mutt Chief Pontiff Shivamurthy Murugha Sharnuru was arrested last night and sent to 14 days judicial custody. Now the Seer has been shifted to the ICU of the government hospital in Chitradurga. Earlier, the Murugha Pontiff had complained of chest pain, where several tests including ECG, blood tests and CT scan were conducted at the district jail in Chitradurga. The Seer might be moved to a hospital in Bengaluru soon, but a decision is yet to be taken on the same. The rape-accused Seer was arrested from the Mutt where he had been staying since the FIR was filed against him. According to the police, the whereabouts of the other accused have also been traced. The arrest of Shivamurthy comes after he was booked under sections of the POCSO Act and the ST and SC Atrocities Act. The Seer will be questioned by the Deputy Superintendent of Police. The police will seek a 14-day remand of the rape-accused Seer.
ಮಾತುಗಳು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡುವಂಥ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ, ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೀತದೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುವುದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ನಮ್ಮ ಫಿಸಿಷಿಯನ್ ಅವರು ತಪಾಸಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ತಂಡನ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ SSIMS ಇಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಬ್ರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ರು ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಆದೇಶದ ಮೇರೆಗೆ.
ಸಿನ್ಸ್ about 3 hours medical examination is going on by the different doctors. So recently, 15 minutes back, preliminary diagnosis that he is having serious heart problem. So it requires ICU because treatment is going. If the treatment is going on ICU, there is a more care instead of shifting treatment in the general ward. He is having other diseases previously, spine and lungs. Heart problem is developed, I think, today morning because heart is not. It is. We don't know when it is happen.
ಇದು ಒಂಥರ ಷಡ್ಯಂತರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಬಸವರಾಜನ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣನೇ ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ರಶ್ಮಿಯನ್ನ ವಾರ್ಡನ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಸವರಾಜನ್ರವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ರಶ್ಮಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅವರು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ತುಂಬಾ ಟಾರ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಹೊಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಾಯಿಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿರೋದೇನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಶ್ಮಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ ಹೊಡಿಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
Now, several strong reactions have been coming in after the arrest of the Seer. Listen in.
I really don't know. Till yesterday, he did not have any problem. Okay, he was trying to escape from the Mutt twice also because yesterday there was a news that he is going out of the Mutt after this anticipatory bail thing is posted for today or tomorrow, something like that. And suddenly he developed chest pain, means that is again another ploy. I really feel that. Today Prime Minister Modi is visiting to Karnataka, so just to save the face of the government they must have done it. So late night they have taken him to custody.
ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ನಾವು ಭಾರಿ ಎಚ್ಚರಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಮುರುಘಾ ಶ್ರೀಗಳ ಬಂಧನ ಒಂದು ಗೆಲುವಿನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಅವಮಾನದ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನು ವಂಚಿಸಿದವರ ಬಂಧನ, ಅದು ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮತ್ತೇನೂ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ನಂಬಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂಥ ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ, ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಜನ, ಲಕ್ಷಾಂತರ ಜನರ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನಸ್ಸುಗಳನ್ನು ಡ್ಯಾಮೇಜ್ ಮಾಡಿದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಇದು. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ತುಂಬ
ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್ ಫೈನಲಿ. ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ರಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಾ ಸರ್, ಕಸ್ಟಡಿ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್, ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ
ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜುಡಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಸ್ಟಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
ನಾನು ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ತಮಗೆ.
ಸರ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್?
ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಏನು ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲೂ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾರು ಕಾನೂನು ಕೈಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಭಾಯಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಿಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕರೆಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದಿಂದ ಕರೆಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ
ರಾಪಿಡ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್
ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವ KSRP, DAR, ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ.
ಸರ್ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 144 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾಕೊಂತೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಡಳಿತ ನಿಶ್ಚಯ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಏನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಸರ್ ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಭಕ್ತಾದಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದ ತಯಾರಿ ಸರ್?
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಅದು ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಬಂದೋಬಸ್ತನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿದೆ.
ಸರ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಫುಲ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆನೂ
ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅನುಮಾನವೇ ಬೇಡ. ಈ ಕೇಸಿನ ಆರಂಭದಿಂದಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಫ್ರೀ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಕಾನೂನು ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅವರು ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
Leader GB Patil, who was one of the few members of the community to call for the Seer's arrest, spoke to my colleague Pooja Shali after his late night arrest. Listen.
I cannot say it's a relief. It's just a fight that just started. And since being a very, very influential as well as the money holder, he can get away with the laws. But the act of Fosco is such a very, very, very stringent rules are there. And the sections are there. It's very difficult for Seer to come out of this. But only thing is that when we noticed that yesterday the magistrate has taken 6 hours to question the girls. I don't know whether you are aware of that or not.
Yes.
She has taken 6 hours and she was very cordial, I was told, with the girls. And everything they have witnessed and they have taken very, very, very detailed report from the girls. It shows that I was even told that the girls, what they had given in front of that Mysore lady, the same evidence they had given once again to the police as well as magistrate. It is very, very difficult for Seer to come out of this. I am really thanking you people, you all Indian media, because after so many days, any Seer after that Asaram Bapu, that what is that? Sorry, sometimes my words are stuck. That Haryana man has been booked. They are also, I was told, very, very powerful, and they can control the government and all that. But I should appreciate Karnataka police that they have done a good job, and they have brought somebody into Pukka.
Brinda Adige, when you listen to these cases, we're talking about young girls, and as a mother myself now with a child, we also realize when we talk of these cases how easy it is to victim shame girls, victim shame women. Children are even more vulnerable because they don't understand the backlash comes, and we understand here on India Today that the investigation has to go on. So we are not making any conjectures. All we are saying is there are serious charges of rape and sexual assault against a top Seer. Investigation will decide what comes out of it. But do you think that the backlash, whether it's against children or women, often stops a lot of young girls to even speak out what they must have been facing?
You're absolutely right. Pooja, we are a deeply patriarchal society. There is not a single day that passes when some politician, some leader has made a misogynistic, sexist remark somewhere. And this is something that also follows us into our families and into our homes and communities. Because if a woman comes out and speaks about sexual violence that she has experienced or undergone, it is always from somebody who might be in a position of power. And this man is always in a position of power. So when she comes out, either she is shamed, character assassination, she is maligned for the kind of, statements that she made, or, how shamelessly she came out and spoke. We saw during the Me Too campaign, everybody talking, why did she not talk 10 years ago? Why is she talking now? In a society like ours, irrespective of what strata we come from, it's extremely difficult for girls and women to speak out on sexual assault and abuse that they might have gone through or going through, because of the disbelief that all of us primarily have against the person who's making the complaint, the woman or the child. And it has been the same over here. The two girls came forward, made a complaint. If it wasn't for the organization Warden, we still would not have had a case out there. Because you had all the politicians also talking about conspiracies, false case, he will be proven wrong, right? Not one person saying, these children have come out and spoken.
Let's at least listen to them.
So courageous of them.
Let's consider them.
Let us protect them, safeguard them.
Ganesh Prasad, as a petitioner yourself, what Brinda has said is actually a very pertinent point. There is a massive support from other seers, from other religious sections as well, and also importantly from many perhaps within in society who feel this is conspiracy, who are alleging that this is some sort of vendetta or they're targeting this top seer, and yet as a petitioner you decided to at least go ahead and say and appeal to the court that listen to what these girls have to say, at least have an investigation. So was there ever a dichotomy when you were trying to put forth this petition about the massive support also that came for this top seer in Karnataka?
Indeed, the aspect of whether the two females who have come forward and tried to make sure a complaint is filed, irrespective of the conspiracies and any other stories which have been made up by the other people, is with due respect. But if they are gonna address the same thing, they have to come with certain documents or some proof. I believe that FIR cannot be registered just on the basis of an allegation, but an initial examination of certain things would have been considered by the police before registering an FIR. And the name has been complied by the police authority, and subsequently an FIR has been registered. But if in the same context, if this story of the conspiracies of the accused are being made out, they can for sure come by, and it may be revealed in the investigation and the truth may be out. But irrespective of that, a fair and unbiased investigation should never be hampered due to their conspiracies or theories or what they're coming up with.
So those were, of course, some of the reactions that were coming in after the arrest of the seer. Remember, there's been widespread national outrage over the long rope of law which was applied in this case just because this was an influential religious leader, and even the political class, the police, practically genuflected before him before finally acting in this matter, finally arresting him. And now he is in hospital because he's complained of a chest pain at a time that the police was to go back to court and seek police custody. But he's in hospital at the moment and will be filing for bail tomorrow. Now, Lingayat Seer Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru has been arrested, but he has blamed the former administrator of the Murugha Mutt and his wife for conspiring against him. India Today has tracked down S.K. Basavarajan, who was once a friend of the Mutt pontiff but has now become his foe.
We are joining with Basavarajan S.K., who suspect to be a main conspirator according to Shivamurthy Sharanaru in this entire POSCO case. Thank you so much for talking to India Today, sir. Sir, congratulations, you got bail today. But how do you see these charges against you? These charges nimmele bandide, idra ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ?
ಇದೆಲ್ಲದೂ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಪೋಕ್ಸೋ ಕಾಯ್ದೆ ಅಡಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ನ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ನನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಪಾಲಾಗಲಿ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ಲಿ ಸುಳ್ಳು. ಇದು
ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ?
ಇದು ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಇದು ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ 1 ತಿಂಗಳಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕಿರೋದು ಕೇಸು. ಅವರು 27/7 ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಘಟನೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಲೈಂಗಿಕ ದೌರ್ಜನ್ಯ ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ
ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಸರ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಪೋಕ್ಸೋ
ಹಾಕಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಬಿದ್ದಿದೆ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ, ಪೋಕ್ಸೋ ಕೇಸು. ಯಾರ ಮೇಲೆ? ರಶ್ಮಿನವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಬಚಾವಾಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಿದ್ದಿರೋ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ತಪ್ಪು ಕಲ್ಪನೆಯಿಂದ ಅವರು ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೇಸ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? ಯು ಆರ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಟರ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೇಸ್, ಪಾಕ್ಸೋ ಕೇಸ್. ನೀವು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ಬ್ರೈನ್ ವಾಶ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕೇಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು.
1 ದಿವಸ 2 ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಿಜವಾದ ನೋವಿದ್ರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ನಿಜವಾಗಿಯೂ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕಿರುಕುಳ ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಏನು ಇದು ಇವತ್ತು ಏನು ಪೋಕ್ಸೋ ಕಾಯ್ದೆ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, 3-4 ಕಡೆ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯತ್ಯಾಸಗಳು ಬಂದರೆ ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
News coming in right now. Rape accused Seer shifted to ICU after arrest. Seer complains of chest pain. These are exclusive images that we're bringing to you right now of the Seer in ICU. Now, hours after his arrest, the Seer played the health card. Exclusive images now of the Seer who has been shifted to ICU. He is at the Chitradurga District Hospital. Let's listen in to the district health officer.
ನಮ್ಮ ಫಿಸಿಷಿಯನ್ ಅವರು ತಪಾಸಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ತಂಡನ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ SSIMS ಇಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಬ್ರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ರು ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಆದೇಶದ ಮೇರೆಗೆ.
Sagai, my colleague, is now joining me live from the Chitradurga District Hospital. Sagai, give us a sense of what the health officer was in fact saying. What is going to be the next course of action as far as the police or the hospital authorities are concerned?
Has spoken to media and said that he will be shifted to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. There were 2 cardiologists who had come from SS Hospital from Davangere, and they have examined and they found out that he has serious cardiology issue, and for higher treatment and for a better facility to treat cardiology, they believe that there are 2 places where Seer can be shifted. One is Davangere and the other is Jayadeva Hospital, Bengaluru, and ultimately they have decided that they will be shifting Shivamurthy Sharanaru to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru for further treatment. He'll be taken in an ambulance from Chitradurga on road to Bengaluru, where he will be undergoing further treatment in Bengaluru Jayadeva Hospital, which is one of the popular hospital which treats all cardiology issues.
Right, so that is a big piece of information, Sagai, that you're breaking to us at the moment, that you're bringing to our viewers. He will be in fact shifted to the Bengaluru hospital. He will be shifted to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. The Murugha Seer is to be shifted shortly. He will be taken by ambulance from the Chitradurga District Hospital to Bengaluru. He in fact has been examined by the doctors at Chitradurga. Those images of the Seer, in fact, from the hospital itself earlier this morning, he was shifted to the hospital when he complained of chest pain. A certain number of tests have been conducted, and now the district health officer has in fact said that cardiologists have also examined him, and the opinion given by the doctors is that he needs to be shifted for further treatment to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. So clearly the police won't be able to seek remand at the moment, Sagai, it seems, because he is going to be in hospital.
Absolutely, because the district magistrate had given 14 days of judicial custody. It was supposed to be reported chest pain as well as cardiology issue, and immediately been shifted. So as per the protocol, he is shifted to the government hospital. We need to wait and watch whether the police will continue requesting for a police custody once he completes this medication. Because now he is under judicial custody, but because he is under judicial custody, he has been shifted to hospital in the reported cardiology issue as well as chest pain. So now he will be shifted from here to Bengaluru for further treatment. On the other side, we also understand that Rashmi, who is an A2 in this particular case, has been arrested by the police, and she will be produced, and they will also seek for police custody in connection with POCSO case.
Okay, so Sagai over there breaking two important pieces of information, viewers, right now in this developing case. He, of course, is telling us that the Chitradurga District Hospital has decided to now shift the Murugha Seer to Bengaluru, to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru for better treatment. He complained of chest pain earlier. He has been examined by doctors at the Chitradurga Hospital, but he needs specialized treatment and hence he will be shifted to, in fact, Bengaluru Hospital. So clearly that means the police is not going to proceed forward at the moment, at least, seeking police custody. They wanted to take 14 days remand. That was going to be their appeal in the court. Meanwhile, while the Seer is in hospital, his lawyers will have the opportunity to file for bail in this matter tomorrow in court. Remember that POCSO is a non-bailable offence, but as Sagai has been reporting, there could be loopholes that his lawyers would try to find in this matter, as of course the Seer continues to be in hospital while the police can't seek police custody. At the moment, they are shifting him to a Bengaluru hospital. He will be able to move court seeking bail. Meanwhile, also the other accused in the case, Rashmi, who has been arrested, will be produced in court today and the police will be seeking police remand in that matter as well. So fast-paced developments over there. But clearly this seems to be Sagai making a mockery of the entire situation. After 6 days of the FIR being lodged, he was finally arrested, not because the police decided to act, but because they were under pressure to act from the people, from the media. India Today, of course, covered that story from day one, relentlessly applied pressure on the establishment to act because he is accused of something as grave as child rape. And finally, when he's arrested, he decides to go to hospital, having complained of chest pain. My colleague Sagai continues to be live with me from the Chitradurga Hospital, where the Seer is at the moment to be shifted out very shortly in an ambulance from Chitradurga for Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital. Sagai, this seems to be making a mockery of the situation. This seems to be some sort of an excuse. Health is an excuse to evade jail?
So far, he was inside prison just for 1 or 2 hours. What you also get to learn that did not have his meal in the afternoon as well as dinner and morning.
Sagai, just hold on for a minute. We're getting some reactions that are coming in. Let's listen into them.
ನಮ್ಮ ಫಿಸಿಷಿಯನ್ ಅವರು ತಪಾಸಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ನ ತಂಡನ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ SSIMS ಇಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಬ್ರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ರು ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಆದೇಶದ ಮೇರೆಗೆ.
So that is, of course, the district health officer over there confirming that the Seer, the Chitradurga Seer Shivamurthy Sharnaru, will be shifted out of Chitradurga District Hospital and taken via ambulance to Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital for further treatment. The physicians over there, in fact, conducted a round of tests on him, and after seeking advice and expertise from specialists, they've decided that he needs to get better treatment and hence he will be, in fact, shifted to Bengaluru Hospital. Jayadeva Hospital specifically is where he will be taken to at the moment. Clearly, it seems that while the law may seem to have caught up with it, it appears that he still seems to be evading jail time. Let's listen in to Basavarajan, the district health official who spoke with the media earlier.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮುಂದೆ ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಸವರಾಜು, ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಸರ್ಜನ್ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಜಿಲ್ಲಾ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ. ಈಗ ದಾವಣಗೆರೆಯಿಂದ ಇಬ್ಬರು ತಜ್ಞ ವೈದ್ಯರನ್ನು, ಹಾರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಇಬ್ಬರು ತಜ್ಞ ವೈದ್ಯರನ್ನು ಕರೆಸಿದ್ವಿ. ಈಗ ಅವರೀಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ರೋಗಿಯನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೂಲಂಕುಷವಾಗಿ ಪರಿಶೀಲಿಸಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವರದಿಯನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಚೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇನ್ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ BP ಶುಗರ್ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ 2 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಅವರು ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರು. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ECG ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ ತಿರುಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಾರಿ ಈಗ ECG ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇರೋದು ದೃಢಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಒಂದು ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಅಥವಾ ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಜಯದೇವ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಈಗ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅದೇ ಈಗ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ. ಅವರು ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಅದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಗಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು
ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಲ್ವಾ, ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ಇಲ್ವಾ
ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ? ಅದು ಈಗ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸೀರಿಯಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್
ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಸರ್.
For higher treatment or for better facilities, we will be shifting him to Bengaluru Jayadeva Hospital.
ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಗೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕಂಡು ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ ರಾತ್ರಿ ನಮಗೆ. ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಅದು ದೃಢಪಟ್ಟಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಈಗ.
Last night we didn't find any kind of medical issue. Early morning we found out that there was differences in his medical report, and that's the reason we have confirmed and we have conducted examination.
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಏರ್ ಲಿಫ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟಾಫ್ ನರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜೊತೆಲ್ಲೇ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ.
We are not going to airlift him. We will be taking him through a specialized ambulance where we have all kind of facilities in our advanced ambulance in the Chitradurga.
ಅದನ್ನ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಿ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಒಳಗೆ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
We will be discussing with the police and taking a decision within 30 minutes to shift him to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru.
So that is, of course, what the district health official over there was telling the media. Sagai, my colleague, is live with us at the moment. The district health official over there confirming that the Murugha Seer is to be shifted to Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital as we speak. So they will be coordinating, the hospital authorities will be shortly coordinating with the police in order to transfer the prime accused in this child rape case to Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital. Remember that yesterday, after he was arrested by the police, the Chitradurga Seer was sent into 14 days judicial custody. But shortly after that, within a few hours, he complained of chest pain. He was moved into hospital. A whole battery of tests were conducted, and now the hospital, in its opinion, has decided that he needs to receive better treatment and hence is being shifted to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. My colleague Sagai is live with me. Sagai, give us more details about what the district health official in fact told the media as to where he will be shifted to, of course, Jayadeva Hospital. But what were the circumstances that led them to in fact conclude that he needs better treatment?
So it was Baswarajan from district surgeon. It was a district surgeon, Baswaraj, from this hospital who addressed the media, went on to say that when they conducted medical test last night, they didn't find any kind of fluctuation. But today, we found out there is a difference in cardiology report. And that is the reason they had called an expert and they have given an opinion that he should be shifted to a better hospital, which has a better facility to give treatment to him. And that is the reason they have taken a decision to shift him to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. And talking about whether he will be airlifted or he will be going by road, they have confirmed that they will be taking him in an ambulance by road, where they have an advanced and well-equipped ambulance where a nurse along with a doctor will be accompanying them. So now they will be discussing with the police about the modalities, how they are going to take him and what kind of security will be given to him. As of now, the details are confirmed that Shivamurthy Sharnaru, who is the main accused in POCSO case, will be shifted from Chitradurga.
Okay, so he will be shifted very shortly. They will be coordinating with the police, the hospital authorities. He will be kept in a separate room at Jayadeva Hospital is what we're learning right now. A room has already been reserved for him. We're slipping into a very short break. Coming up next, in a big boost to the Indian Armed Forces, India gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier. Prime Minister Modi inducts the 20,000 crore INS Vikrant.
विजुअल कम्युनिकेशन और डिजिटल इन्फोग्राफिक्स के हुनर सीखिए देश के सबसे बड़े मीडिया समूह के साथ। ज्वाइन कीजिए इंडिया टुडे मीडिया इंस्टीट्यूट।
रजिस्टर करने के लिए www.indiatodaymediainstitute.in पर विजिट करें। Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
India's biggest Swadeshi warship ever. 45,000 tons of Indian war muscle. Indian Navy welcomes INS Vikrant. India's glory and pride all set to sail. Jai Vikrant, non-stop coverage only on India Today.
Indian Navy gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant. Prime Minister Narendra Modi commissioned the next-gen INS Vikrant, the largest ship ever built in India's maritime history in Kochi. Calling Vikrant symbol of indigenous potential, Prime Minister Modi said the worship will create new confidence in India. With the commissioning of INS Vikrant, India has joined an elite league of countries with capabilities to indigenously design and build an aircraft carrier. Vikrant is a carrier housing state-of-the-art automation features and built at a cost of 20,000 crore rupees. The carrier has the capacity to house 1,750 soldiers and can park up to 6 helicopters and 12 fighter jets. The new aircraft carrier is named after the INS Vikrant that played a defining role in India's war with Pakistan in 1971.
इन पंच प्राणों में पहला प्राण है विकसित भारत का बड़ा संकल्प, दूसरा प्राण है गुलामी की मानसिकता का संपूर्ण त्याग, तीसरा प्राण है अपनी विरासत पर गर्व, चौथा और पांचवा प्राण है देश की एकता, एकजुटता और नागरिक कर्तव्य। INS विक्रांत के निर्माण और इसकी यात्रा में हम इन सभी पंच प्राणों की ऊर्जा को देख सकते हैं। INS विक्रांत इस ऊर्जा का जीवन संयंत्र है। आत्मनिर्भरता और आजादी को एक दूसरे का पूरक कहा जाता है। जो देश जितना किसी दूसरे देश पर निर्भर है, उतना ही उसके लिए संकट है। जो देश जितना आत्मनिर्भर है, वो उतना ही सशक्त है। कोरोना के संकट काल में हम सभी ने आत्मनिर्भर होने की इस ताकत को देखा है, समझा है, अनुभव किया है। इसलिए आज भारत आत्मनिर्भर होने के लिए पूरी शक्ति से काम कर रहा है। आज अगर अथाह समंदर में भारत की ताकत का उद्घोष करने के लिए INS विक्रांत तैयार है, तो अनंत आकाश में यही गर्जना हमारे तेजस कर रहे हैं। इस बार 15 अगस्त को पूरे देश ने लाल किले से स्वदेशी तोप की हुंकार भी सुनी है। आजादी के 75 साल बाद सेनाओं में रिफॉर्म करके भारत अपनी सेनाओं को निरंतर आधुनिक बना रहा है, आत्मनिर्भर बना रहा है। हमारी सेनाओं ने ऐसे उपकरणों की एक लंबी लिस्ट भी बनाई है जिनकी खरीद अब स्वदेशी कंपनियों से ही की जाएगी। डिफेंस सेक्टर में रिसर्च और डेवलपमेंट के लिए 25% बजट भी देश की यूनिवर्सिटीज और देश की कंपनियों को ही उपलब्ध कराने का निर्णय लिया गया है। तमिलनाडु और उत्तर प्रदेश में 2 बड़े डिफेंस कॉरिडोर भी विकसित हो रहे हैं। डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भरता के लिए उठाए जा रहे इन कदमों से देश में रोजगार के अनेकों नए अवसर पैदा हो रहे हैं।
Here's a report by my colleague Abhishek Bhalla from inside INS Vikrant.
At the topmost deck of this aircraft carrier, this is a place from where all air operations are controlled, and we can see the 2 runways very clearly from here. This will give you an idea how exactly air operations will take place. the round circles with numbers that says 3, it says 2, 1, those are meant for helicopters to be stationed, and the 2 runways are divided in between with a white lining. One is the red one, the other is the yellow one. 2 runways are there. One is a shorter one, the other a longer one. The shorter one for operations to be launched quickly when the aircraft can fly without a payload. But if an offensive operation is to be launched with a heavy payload, that's when the longer runway has to be used. It's still going to take at least 4 months for air operations to start on INS Vikrant. With camera person Satya Rotre on board INS Vikrant, Abhishek Bhalla for India Today.
Now, a political legacy war has erupted hours after INS Vikrant was commissioned into service by the Prime Minister. Congress's Jairam Ramesh was the first to taunt, asking whether the Prime Minister will acknowledge the contribution of previous governments. Jairam Ramesh tweeted, and I quote, that it was A.K. Antony that launched the warship in 2013. Now, BJP has hit out at the Congress, alleging that the party is playing Rajniti over Rashtra Suraksha. In fact, BJP MP Tejasvi Surya has also hit out at the Congress for what he calls the party's slavish and colonized mindset. Surya said it is pertinent to note that the Congress had reverted to the colonial King's Cross after Atalji's government had discarded it. Unquote.
20-22 साल लगे हैं डिज़ाइन करने में, मैन्युफैक्चर करने में, ट्रायल करने में. तो ये सब अगर आप INS विक्रांत का मील पत्थर देखें, ये 1999 में शुरू होता है और कमीशन आज हुआ है. आज के प्रधानमंत्री तो फोटो लेंगे, बड़े बड़े भाषण देंगे और कहेंगे मैं आया 2014 में ये सब शुरुआत हुई. ये बिल्कुल गलत है. कभी ना कभी गलती से भी हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को स्वीकारना चाहिए कि शासन में निरंतरता होता है.
India welcomes its first indigenously built aircraft carrier INS Vikrant. The ship is built at a cost of around 20,000 crore rupees and has over 2,300 compartments. Here's the detailed report.
India's largest warship. Vikrant is a 45,000-ton carrier. It can accommodate up to 1,700 personnel, including the air crews and arrangement for even women personnel. The flight deck of the warship, 262 meters in length and 62.4 meters wide. The total area, 12,460 square kilometers. With 15 decks, including 5 in the superstructure, the ship has over 2,300 compartments. The ship's top speed is around 28 knots and cruising speed 18 knots. With an endurance of 7,500 nautical miles, she can almost cover the entire coastline of India twice without any requirement of refueling for 45 days. The Vikrant in its new avatar stands tall proudly after years of toil. It's the sweat and hard work of so many that's made this possible. Thousands have toiled over the years. The Kochi shipyard that had an expertise in building civilian commercial ventures took up the challenge.
Electronics systems, warship weapons intensive system. Companies like Bharat Electronics, companies like Hindustan HAL, BHEL, we all got together. So there's been a huge synergy in action. And that synergy, we are very happy that between us and Navy, we created that synergy in this country to actually create the belief in the country that you can actually deliver projects like this. The electrical power on the ship is 24 megawatt. 8 generating sets, each of 3 megawatt. Now, this electrical power can actually, I say a city like Kochi, probably the lighting loads of the city can be taken by this system.
Refueling, without refueling, what is the distance that
you
can...
75 days, probably like for something which the people may connect. If you sail from here, maybe you can sail up to Brazil without refueling.
So, I mean, that would be, in terms of kilometers, how much?
I will have to check it up exactly, but then it's about 75 days without...
75 days,
correct.
One can reach up to
One
Brazil.
can, that's right.
This takes India into select band of 7 countries: USA, UK, France, Russia, Italy and China that have niche capabilities of design and building of an aircraft carrier.
So in terms of maritime capabilities, operations, a second aircraft carrier, how does it change things? How does that status quo change for the Indian Navy with Vikrant coming in?
Our planners, since our independence, envisaged a navy built around 4 carriers. Whilst it was approved in principle, due various reasons, it never took off. So considering our geography, our importance of sea lanes of communication for our economy, with our economy on a growth tangent which is unmatched in the past, it is imperative that we have not just the second but the third carrier also. So what does a carrier bring? It brings a potential to undertake operations in any type of scenario, from peace to combat scenario. All kind of missions, operations can be undertaken by a carrier.
Indian Navy's previous aircraft carriers were acquired from UK and Russia. India's first aircraft carrier acquired from the UK in 1961 that was decommissioned later was also called Vikrant. A new Vikrant is expected to live up to its name, that means victorious and gallant. As per naval tradition, ships never die. And in keeping with this tradition, the Indigenous aircraft carrier is back in a new avatar with the same name, Vikrant.
Jayam Samaha Yudhis Pradaha. We defeat those who dare to fight with us. This motto of INS Vikrant is going to be the center stage of what Vikrant means to the Indian Navy. This is a clear message that Vikrant will not only embolden the firepower of India's maritime security agencies, but will also make sure that the adversary is always 2 steps behind.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi unveiled the then new Navy ensign inspired by Chhatrapati Shivaji. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, unveiled the new ensign Nishan at the commissioning of India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. INS Vikrant will adorn the new white ensign with effect from its commissioning. Indian Navy's new ensign dropped the St. George's Cross and incorporated the royal seal of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. While unveiling the new ensign, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the Indian naval flags, which carried a sign of slavery, had been replaced with a new one inspired by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and dedicated INS Vikrant to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
आज 2 सितंबर 2022 की ऐतिहासिक तारीख को इतिहास बदलने वाला एक और काम हुआ है। आज भारत ने गुलामी के एक निशान, गुलामी के एक बोझ को अपने सीने से उतार दिया है। आज से भारतीय नौसेना को एक नया ध्वज मिला है। अब तक भारतीय नौसेना के ध्वज पर गुलामी की पहचान बनी हुई थी, लेकिन अब आज से छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज से प्रेरित नौसेना का नया ध्वज समंदर और आसमान में लहराएगा।
Let's watch the Facebook INS Vikrant official Navy video now.
Wastage is not just a social problem but an environmental one too. It is important to take concrete steps to ensure food wastage is avoided at all costs. Why we shouldn't waste food? When we waste food, we waste the labor, the effort, investment and precious resources. It also increases greenhouse gas emissions and contributes to climate change. What you can do? Reduce. Be more mindful of food you buy what you use and use it all. Improve food storage and reduce wastage at home. Reuse. If you don't eat everything you make, freeze it for later. Use the leftovers as an ingredient in another meal. Recycle. Recycle as much as possible. Try composting and put nutrients back into the soil. You can also start your own green patch of fruits, vegetables or herbs. With these easy ways, you can reduce food wastage and become a food hero.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
In association with new Ather 450X, now with 146 kilometers range. Acco, download the app now.
Good afternoon and a warm welcome to India Today. I'm Paulami Saha. Here are the headlines we're tracking at the top of this hour. Hours after arrest, rape accused Lingayat Seer complains of chest pain. He is being shifted to a Bengaluru hospital now. Is he using health issues now to evade jail? Rape accused Seer sent to 14 days judicial custody. Karnataka Chief Minister says he has given a free hand to the police. The arrest came after India Today's relentless campaign demanding action. In a big boost to the Indian Armed Forces, India gets its first indigenous aircraft carrier. Prime Minister Modi inducts the 20,000 crore INS Vikrant. Indian Navy freed from colonial relic. Navy flag loses St. George's Cross. Prime Minister Modi unveils new ensign for the Navy. More revelations in the Sonali Phogat murder case. Video of accusers after death resurfaces. Sonali and PA's transactions under lens. Bottle used to drug Sonali found. News coming in right now. The Murugha Mutt Seer is to be shifted to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. Room number 6 has been reserved for the Seer at the hospital. The Murugha Seer is to be kept in a separate room. The Seer is to be kept away from other patients. Now, is the Seer's health excuse, in fact, to evade jail? That's the question that we're asking right now. So after he was in fact moved into the Chitradurga District Hospital earlier this morning, having complained of chest pain, and a battery of tests were conducted by the physicians at the hospital, they've recommended that he needs to receive better treatment and further treatment, and hence he is to be shifted as per their recommendation to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru. He will be shortly moved out via ambulance, and via the road route he will be taken from Chitradurga to Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital, where a separate room in fact has been kept for him. In fact, he will be kept in room number 6, which has been reserved for him, and he's to be kept in a separate room away from other patients.
Sir, the Swamiji is being moved to Jayadeva is what we are told.
Okay.
So what are the procedures that you would be doing, sir, right now?
Anyway, we have to examine him and we have to evaluate him and look at all those findings, okay?
Okay.
Because now anybody coming with some history of I don't know what are his present elements, okay? So when he comes, we'll evaluate and see what best can be done.
As of now, he has done a ECG and a CT scan. Would that suffice initially for you, or you have to conduct more tests on him, sir?
Because we have to look at CT scan and see, okay?
Okay.
Because we have not received any reports.
Okay.
So based on his clinical findings and whatever is CT scan findings, you have to take a further call. Huh?
Oh, so finally, sir, any room that is booked for him, kept for him, or where will he be kept, sir? What is the procedure that you would be following, sir?
No, we'll be keeping him in, of course, you have to isolate him, no? Because we can't put up among the general patients.
Yeah.
But that will cause a lot of inconvenience to other patients.
Yeah.
So we'll be put in 6th floor, okay?
So a room has been kept ready for him, sir, as of now?
Yes.
What time is he expected to reach your hospital, sir?
In fact, we don't know. Probably in due course of time, we will come to know. Huh?
My colleague Sagai Raj is now joining me live from Chitradurga Hospital, where in fact the Seer is at the moment to be shortly moved out of that hospital and taken to Bengaluru. Sagai, what's happening at the moment? How soon is the Seer likely to be in fact shifted out of the Chitradurga Hospital?
So anytime now he might be shifted from Chitradurga Government Hospital. As we speak now, the experts who have come from SS Davangere Hospital are examining his health condition. Earlier, they also took a new equipment of ECO as well as ECG inside ICU to conduct re-examine the ECG and echo, because they had conducted these kind of tests yesterday night as well as early in the morning. And according to a district surgeon who spoke to media, said that his situation was better last night. His medical issues, he didn't have any medical issues last night when he was taken for a routine medical test in the government hospital. It is a protocol and a procedure which should be followed by the police, because whenever they arrest an accused, they will be taken to a hospital for a medical test. Following that, he was being taken to magistrate, where they got 14 days of judicial custody. Everything was fine until yesterday night when he was shifted to hospital. But early this morning, he has reported chest pain as well as cardiac issue, and immediately he was been shifted from Chitradurga prison to Chitradurga hospital. He was at emergency, where several tests were conducted in a different block, and that's when they have found out that he had a cardiology issue, and immediately he was shifted to a different block. This block is an ICU block where he is undergoing treatment, and 2 specialist cardiologist doctors from SS Hospital in Davangere have been asked to examine him. As we speak now, they are inside, they are examining, and they have also suggested to shift Shivamurthy Sharnaru to Jayadeva Hospital in Bengaluru, because they believe that they don't have enough facility and enough mechanism or technicalities, technical things here to take care of Shivamurthy Sharnaru. Right. And anytime now, he'll be taken by road to Bengaluru for the treatment.
All right. So, Guy, stay with us. I'm going to quickly cut across to Brinda Adige, who's been following this story very closely. Brinda, we're looking at after 7 days, finally the Seer has been arrested. He's been asked to be in judicial custody for at least 15 days. And now we hear that he's complained of some chest pain. He's to be shifted to a Bengaluru hospital, a room 6 reserved for him. How would you look at those developments?
The police from the beginning did not do anything as per law and procedure. Then this man surrendered himself last night, and the police said that they have arrested him. Now, since last night, he's got every pain and ache under the sun. But what are the police trying to do? Are they saying that these citizens are fools? They must try test this man for psychosomatic disorder, because he was fine and hale and healthy when he was addressing all his audience to say that he is innocent and that there are conspiracy theories around this. The moment he has surrendered, and which is only 14 days of judicial custody, he is going to spend the 14 days in hospitals, going up and down, wasting the state resources. Already we have wasted such a lot of resources, and now he has gone back to go and say, I have all of these aches. So when is the police ever going to conduct any kind of investigation? Which means this fellow is yet to give his statement. And if he doesn't give his statement, the police cannot move a step further. This man has controlled the complaint and the so-called investigation from the day FIR was lodged, and the police and the politicians got together to ensure that they build a narrative wall of protection around this man, and then they finally, by law, get him into judicial custody for 14 days. He's now going to spend it in the comfort of the hospital. What a shame it is.
And that too, he has been shifted to the ICU, which is surprising. ICU means a very serious case. It would mean that the person is severely ill, which is why he's been shifted to the ICU. But owing to a chest pain, I haven't heard of someone being moved to the ICU.
You're right. There is no need for ICU if he's got chest pain. For all you know, it may be a gastric problem which could be treated in the ward itself, if not inside the jail. But this nonsense of, taking him to the ICU and then making a halabala that this man is in serious condition. Till yesterday evening, he was walking around in his mata, literally strutting around in the mud. And now he wants to go and sit in the ICU. I think this is an absolute shame on the state machinery, all the politicians who supported this man and continue to support him, and literally treating citizens like fools. Saying that, we've done this, we've done that. But you see, this happened, that happened. Just goes to show that the law is so different for ordinary citizens like you and me, and for people who have the power and influence and authority of politicians, because this man controls votes.
Brinda, a medical test was done only 7 days later. And that's really worrying, because ideally in a rape case, a medical test is really the clincher.
The medical test cannot be done. Mr. Stello did not submit to it. You know, there is a procedure to also conduct the medical test. The medical test cannot be conducted inside the mutt. It has to be done at a government hospital. There is a prescribed set of norms to be followed. This man was not even detained for a statement. Without a statement, how can the police conduct a medical test? And if the police say that they've done an MLC, I don't believe them. Because they could not have done an MLC without having a statement and following the procedures laid down by our law. So every now and then, you know, they throw something like this at us, crumbs, saying that, listen, we've done this. Look, we've done that. And that just goes to show that they are not serious about the complaint that 2 child victim survivors have made of sexual assault, abuse and rape, not 1 or 2 days, over 3.5 years. And that is something which is so shameful that I refuse to believe my children, because they are poor, because they sought for education in a hospital that extended free education to girls. Everything that my Prime Minister talks about Beti Bachao is a sham where these people are concerned, because they do not want to be aligned with Beti Bachao at all.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely...
Well, you know, clearly it's all the politicians today who should be guilty of this kind of delay. They've really perpetuated this, and that's unfortunate and very visible here. It's on full display, the brazenness with which the police flouted all those protocols, and of course the politicians who remained mum. Brinda, thank you very much for joining us on that. Let me cut across to Sagai for a little more, who's right there at Chitradurga. Sagai, Seer was shifted to a Chitradurga hospital where he's complained of chest pain. He was moved to the ICU, and then a series of tests were conducted, starting with your CT scan, ECG, etc., etc. But for a basic blood test or a medical test, right after the rape POXO case was registered, it appears that the police did not attempt to do that then. Now, when he's complaining of chest pain, they've taken him to the ICU, and on as many tests have been conducted. All the top tests that you can imagine has been conducted. Now you have to wait for those reports. It's got to come. He's going to remain in hospital for a few more days. This is a way, it seems, for him to complete all those 15 days that he's been granted in judicial custody.
Absolutely. Police might not have answers to your valid questions, Nabila, because ever since we have been asking them why they are not arresting or why they are not summoning him, they said that they were collecting evidence. And as you rightly pointed out, that when FIR has been registered, the medical tests were done on the survivors, but they didn't do any kind of medical test with the alleged accused in this entire case. But now, once everything happens, he has been shifted to this hospital, from here to a Bengaluru hospital for a better facility. But when it comes to a protocol, a procedure which should be followed by the police, that was not done, where he was not summoned, he was not taken for a medical test to prove whether he has involved in the crime. But after that, they are following all the protocols. And within 2 hours after he was shifted to the prison, he complains of chest pain as well as heartache, and immediately he has been shifted back to the hospital. And now here he has undergone ECO, he has undergone ECG as well as CT scan, and the doctors are saying that all is not well. He should be shifted to a better facility in Bengaluru, and they have already spoken to the doctors in Bengaluru, where he will be staying in the Jaideva hospital on a 6th floor for further treatment. And as we speak now, the procedures has been done by the district health officer along with the police, where he'll be taken on road. So,
Sagai, I want a quick word on the mood of the people in Chitradurga, because the Seer was taken in almost late last night, close to 11 p.m. when the Seer was finally taken away by the police. There was a lot of confusion on where they were taking him. You, in fact, tried to tail the police but lost track. Eventually found out that he's been granted 15-day judicial custody. After much of that commotion there, finally the man has been moved to a hospital complaining of chest pain, almost going according to a script. That's what it seems like. But what's the real mood and sentiment of the people in Chitradurga? Are they relieved that the law has finally taken its course?
Absolutely. People are happy that they have arrested Seer Shivamurthy Sharanaru. In fact, they had threatened the police yesterday that they will garrow the mat, they will garrow SP office and DC office if he was not been arrested. So there were several permission requisition was been made to the DC office as well as SP office for today, where they had planned for a massive protest if the arrest was not made. But last night they had arrested, and all those protest requests, petition is being withdrawn now, and now everything has been peaceful. No protest which is happening outside, or whether it is for or against. No protest is happening in Chitradurga. But we have seen protest in Davangere, where a large number of people came on the street demanding the police to transfer this particular case for CBI inquiry. They feel that there is no transparency. The police is trying to shield him, and they came on the street and demanded that the case should be transferred to Central Bureau of Investigation. And as of now, here people are happy, and no protest which has been reported from morning. But yesterday, Nabila, we have seen that many of them were on the street demanding justice, saying that they will get out the district collector's office, and they also threatened, they also blocked the vehicle of district commissioner's Kavita's vehicle in Chitradurga office. And there were also other protests in different parts of Chitradurga. But now
clearly
has been seemed to
the
be
word
peaceful.
that echoes is that the girls must be given justice. Whether the seer is innocent or not, it's for the police to establish that. But one should not delay investigation. There is no immunity whatsoever, even if he's a seer, an influential, a rich man. Sagai, thank you very much. I'm going to cut across to what's transpired over the last few hours. Just hours after the seer's arrest, this rape-accused Murugha Mutt pontiff has complained of chest pain. He has been rushed to a hospital. Now, the question here is this health issue really an excuse to evade jail? That's what several activists are alleging. They're calling the seer's arrest a mere sham. After complaining of chest pain, the seer was brought to the hospital in an ambulance where he underwent a CT scan as well as an ECG. He was also being carried on a wheelchair, and that was visible. There was visuals there where he was given extensive help to move around. And this is ironic because just a day before, we saw the seer freely moving about inside his Mutt premises with people bowing down to him. He seemed quite fine, walking around, hale and hearty. The seer now is being moved to Bengaluru's Jayadeva Hospital. He will be kept on the 6th floor away from the regular patients. And in this new way of the question is, of course, is this really another way, an attempt by the police or the authorities to give special treatment to the Murugha Mutt Seer Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru? Is the official missionary really working round the clock to keep the prominent Lingayat Seer safe?
ಈಗ ದಾವಣಗೆರೆಯಿಂದ ಇಬ್ಬರು ತಜ್ಞ ವೈದ್ಯರನ್ನು ಹಾರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಇಬ್ಬರು ತಜ್ಞ ವೈದ್ಯರನ್ನು ಕರೆಸಿದ್ರು. ಈಗ ಅವರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ರೋಗಿಯನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಕೂಲಂಕುಷವಾಗಿ ಪರಿಶೀಲಿಸಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವರದಿಯನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪದೇ ಚೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇನ್ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ BP ಶುಗರ್ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಜೊತೆಗೆ 2 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಅವರು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರು. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ECG ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ತಿರುಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಾರಿ ಈಗ ECG ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇರೋದು ದೃಢಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಒಂದು ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ
ನಮ್ಮ ಫಿಸಿಷಿಯನ್ ಅವರು ತಪಾಸಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ತಂಡನ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ SSIMS ಇಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಬ್ರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ರು ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಆದೇಶದ ಮೇರೆಗೆ.
ಸಿನ್ಸ್ about 3 hours medical examination is going on by the different doctors. So recently 15 minutes back preliminary diagnosis that he is having serious heart problem, so it requires ICU because treatment is going, if the treatment is going on ICU, there is a more care instead of shifting treatment in the general ward. He is having other diseases previously, spine and lungs. Heart problem is developed, I think, today morning because heart is not. It is. We don't know when it is happen.
ಒಂಥರ ಷಡ್ಯಂತರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಬಸವರಾಜನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣನೇ ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ರಶ್ಮಿಯನ್ನ ವಾರ್ಡನ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಸವರಾಜನ್ರವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ರಶ್ಮಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅವರು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ತುಂಬಾ ಟಾರ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಹೊಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಾಯಿಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿರೋದೇನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಶ್ಮಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನು ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
All right, now cutting across to the state government and the reactions right from the start, they've been maintaining stoic silence on whether these allegations should be pursued rightfully under the law. They claim that the Seer has been cooperating and that they've given a free hand for the police to carry out fair investigation. Let's listen in what the government said.
ಮಾತುಗಳು ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡುವಂಥ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಮೊದಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ, ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೀತದೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುವುದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್ ಫೈನಲಿ. ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ರಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಾ ಸರ್, ಕಸ್ಟಡಿ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್, ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ
ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜುಡಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಸ್ಟಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್,
ನಾನು ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ
ಸರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್?
ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಏನು ಆಗ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲೂ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾರು ಕಾನೂನು ಕೈಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಭಾಯಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ
ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಿಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕರೆಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದಿಂದ ಕರೆಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವ KSRP, DAR, ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ
ಸರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 144 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾಕೊಂತೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಡಳಿತ ನಿಶ್ಚಯ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಏನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ
ಸರ್. ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಭಕ್ತಾದಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದ ತಯಾರಿ ಸರ್?
ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಅದು ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಬಂದೋಬಸ್ತನ್ನ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿದೆ
ಸರ್. ಪೊಲೀಸರಿಗೆ ಫುಲ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್, ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆನೂ
ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅನುಮಾನವೇ ಬೇಡ. ಈ ಕೇಸಿನ ಆರಂಭದಿಂದಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಫ್ರೀ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಕಾನೂನು ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಅವರು ಕ್ರಮ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
See, this will happen. Every senior politicians and the Swamijis, this has been very regular. This is not a surprise. So, this is not only this Murugha Mutt case. As per me, majority of the matters has been facing the same charges. If the investigation is properly conducted, there will be many more Swamijis will become.
हमारे देश में अभी कानून लोगों की पदों को देखकर लागू होगा. हमारे देश की महिलाओं के सामने जो प्रश्न उठते हैं कि अभी न्याय का प्रक्रिया पॉलिटिक्स से जुड़कर तय होगा, तो निश्चित रूप पर हिंदुस्तान की महिलाओं के लिए बड़ी जबरदस्त प्रश्न उठते हैं.
All right, more trouble for the accused Shivamurthy Sharanaru, the religious pontiff. Arrest warrant has been issued against the Seer by Bengaluru's Metropolitan Magistrates Court. Warrant has been issued on allegations of cheating while selling the Tippa Shetty Mutt property. Tippa Shetty Mutt property belongs to Murugha Rajendra Mutt. A case has now been registered by the Pancharaksha 2 years ago. The Seer didn't attend court when he was summoned, and now it appears the case has been taken up. Right after the Seer has come to headlines over rape case on minors, it appears that the Metropolitan Court swiftly issuing an arrest warrant against the Seer on allegations of cheating while selling the Tippa Shetty Mutt property. This Tippa Shetty Mutt property that belongs to the Murugha Rajendra Mutt, there were some irregularities. A case was filed 2 years ago itself. The Seer hasn't attended court or summons, and it appears the police, the magistrates court now issuing a warrant on the Seer. With that, it's a wrap. Stay tuned. Our entertainment special on the other side of a short break.
with facts. She takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Hello and welcome to this special broadcast. I am Dipali Patel, and in the next half hour I am going to talk about all things Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. The magical world of dragons, elves, dwarves and hobbits left fans and readers mesmerized ever since it caught their eyes. The new show will bring the saga of the Middle-earth to the small screen for the first time. The first season has been made on a reported budget of $715 million. Here's all about the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power.
The Lord of the Rings, the Ring of Power, which is based on J.R.R. Tolkien's iconic fantasy world, will bring the second age of Middle-earth to life in live action.
There is a tempest in me.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel. Put up your sword.
The new series is set thousands of years before The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings films.
Without it, what am I to be?
It's a time period in Middle-earth referred to as Second Age, as time in the world is divided across impactful global events. The Third Age, where Sauron is a big glowy eye and is hunting for his ring, is very far away from the events of this series.
Not fate, nor destiny. Ours was the work of something greater.
The prequel stars Morfydd Clark, Robert Aramayo, Markella Kavanagh, and Benjamin Walker in key roles.
Each of us. Everyone.
The first season of this series will be 8 episodes long, and streaming service Amazon has reportedly announced that it will be making 5 seasons.
I am not the hero you seek.
Whatever it was you did, be free of it.
One day this will be your kingdom.
What's more, as part of promotions, a video for the upcoming series also featured Middle-earth's Shepherds of the Trees. It follows a young, awkward boy as he discovers the Lord of the Rings books, becoming a passionate fan before attending a special screening of the Rings of Power premiere in what appears to be an elf cosplay. During Amazon's annual Prime Day shopping event, members were given an exclusive 60-second sneak peek of the series, which was available for 48 hours only.
Are strange.
That's not all. The series, which is reportedly the most expensive TV show ever,
One day this will be your kingdom.
Raise your sail and then let go.
had its premiere at London's Leicester Square, with the area turned into a leafy pasture. Streaming giant Amazon reportedly bought the rights to the appendices of Tolkien for $250 million. According to reports, Amazon has spent about $465 million filming the first season of the show.
Choose not the path of fear, but that of faith.
The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power streams on OTT platform Amazon Prime Video.
Better than any creature in all Middle-earth. We stay true to each other with our hearts even bigger in our feet.
Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
I can survive this. You and I.
Now, our entertainment editor Tushar Joshi is our in-house Lord of the Rings expert, and he saw a special preview of this epic show. But should The Rings of Power be on your weekend binge list? Here's our special club review. The makers of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, are dropping the first 2 episodes of the most anticipated series. So should you make your way back to Middle-earth? Well, let's find out as our entertainment editor Tushar Joshi joins me to give us a lowdown. Tushar, I want to begin by asking you a question that's on everyone's mind. How similar is the storyline to Lord of the Rings?
Dipali, before answering that question, I have to tell you that The Rings of Power is one of the most anticipated series of the year for 2 reasons. One is the fact that we have all grown up watching the Lord of the Rings films. And those are iconic films in that genre. I mean, who hasn't watched Lord of the Rings? And if you haven't, you better watch it before you start watching The Rings of Power. And the second reason why we are discussing the comparisons between Lord of the Rings and The Rings of Power is the fact that the creators have managed to bring back the world that we grew to love. The story of that magical ring, the story of Sam and Frodo that we watched in those 3 films, that is sort of coming back in The Rings of Power. To answer your question, it is a very different story from the Lord of the Rings series. You know, in 2001 to 2003, we had these 3 films: The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King. This is one of the biggest trilogy in the history of Hollywood films, in fact, in the history of cinema. So, The Rings of Power sets its story around characters that we've grown to know and love from the films. But it's not a very similar story. It's a very different world. There are different creatures, there are different magical characters that have been introduced by the makers, but it's a very interesting world.
Also, it is one of the most expensive shows of all time. Does it reflect in the series, especially the VFX?
Oh, it does reflect, and how. I mean, I was privileged enough to watch the first 2 episodes on a huge screen in a theater. And I was literally mind blown by the sheer scale of the VFX of the series. They have put a lot of money, but apart from the money, they've also paid attention to detail. Everything from the costume to the set to where the special effects look on the big screen, the action scenes look on the big screen. It is magical. If you've been a fan of Lord of the Rings, if you're aware of the world of Lord of the Rings, if you're aware of elves and dwarves and hobbits and men, then this world in the Rings of Power will just sort of mesmerize you with its special effects. The special effects are one of the biggest highlights, Dipali, of the Rings of Power.
Tushar, I also want to ask you, this series has come around the same time as House of the Dragon. You think it will have any impact?
Well, I mean, you're getting 2 things at the price of one. I'm not complaining. If you're a fan of the fantasy fiction genre, you're getting to watch the story in Westeros, you're getting the story of House of the Dragon. You're getting to see the story of the Middle Earth in the Rings of Power. I mean, for anybody who's a fanboy of this genre, it's the best time to sort of have 2 big-ticket shows streaming on 2 OTT platforms. There are no comparisons. But yes, the genre is very similar. And I think fans can enjoy both these shows on these 2 different streaming platforms. It's the time to be a fanboy. I think it's a great time for all of us.
For someone who's a fan of Lord of the Rings, how good or bad is the Rings of Power experience?
See, I have only watched the first 2 episodes of the Rings of Power, right? And every episode, I mean, the first episode and the second episode ends on a cliffhanger, which means you're sort of drawn into what is going to happen next. As somebody who has read the books, who has watched the movies, and who's super excited for Rings of Power, I can tell you that it's not a disappointment at all. Of course, I mean, you will expect similar names like Gandalf, like Sam and Frodo, characters like Gollum, especially the creature who was iconic in those films, to sort of make an appearance or get a mention. That doesn't happen too early on in the books, in the episodes, simply because, like I said, this is a different world. It's a different timeline. I met the creator of the show, J.D. Payne, and he told me how he has taken storylines and characters from the appendices of the book, which means that whatever supporting characters that Tolkien imagined in his world, that's where the story of the Rings of Power sets in. I think, to answer the question, the Rings of Power opens with a bang, and it sort of takes you into that world from the opening frame. I can't wait to watch the next few episodes, and I think it's a massive treat for anybody who's wanting to sort of enjoy a big ticket experience, a spectacle, sitting at home watching it on your big screen. Try to watch this on a bigger screen. Even if you have a television, if you have a friend probably who has a 55-inch TV, go watch it at his place. You will enjoy the experience.
I'm sure everybody's excited to watch it. So that was our entertainment editor, Tushar Joshi, summing up his overall experience of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Together we can survive this!
Fight with me.
Each of us must decide who we shall be.
Now, Tushar also caught up with the star cast of the show, where the actors spoke about the impact Lord of the Rings had on their lives, their impressions about India, and much more. Listen into this candid chat.
Guys, welcome to India Today.
This is so exciting to speak to you guys. I want to talk to you a bit about when did you first encounter Tolkien, if you could start.
I was about 11 years old and I was given the book of The Hobbit. Yes. And that was the first time I'd come across Tolkien, and my imagination just exploded from that moment onwards. And then when my son, who also happens to be called Maxim, he's my fictional son, not my real son, I read it to him when he was 11. We read it out loud together over a period of weeks, which was fabulous to be able to share it with him. I mean, I've actually got a question for you, but I'll ask that in a minute. I'll pass it on.
I think I was about 6 or 7 when the films came out, so I wasn't allowed to watch them. But most of the kids in my neighborhood had seen them. And so I knew the story orally from them because they would tell me about it. And then a few years after that, I was in a musical production of The Hobbit.
I watched them 20 years ago. I haven't seen them since, but I remember just loving them. They were amazing. And then when I got this job, I did a deep dive into all things Tolkien. This experience has made me a super fan because it's impossible to have this experience and live in this world and bring Tolkien to life on screen without being a fan.
Well, I was probably about 9, I think, when I became... It was actually, there was an animated movie when I was little.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. There was an animated movie of it, which for me was my equivalent of the Peter Jackson, because that was a very formative age, and I was absolutely obsessed with it.
For me, it was The Hobbit. And I read The Hobbit when I was way too young to read The Hobbit, but technically it's the first book I ever read. I got lost in that and fell in love with Tolkien, and then the Peter Jackson films, I was so excited. I used to play Lord of the Rings on the playground with my best friends when I was at school.
What character were you?
I was Aragorn.
Ah, wow. Okay, yeah. That's a shift then.
It is, yeah. Well, there's connective tissue between Elrond and Aragorn.
When I watched the movies, I only watched them once I got this job. I didn't have Tolkien in my life before this job.
Really?
Yeah. So this has been a very immersive experience for me. But when I watched them all in one go. One of the cinemas had a marathon for all of them extended versions. So I watched them all in one go. So little details I can't quite remember.
That's all right.
Because it was like an information overload. Yeah. But I mean, it was incredible. But
I think in the films there's like a snippet of Isildur.
Yes.
And I wanted to see more. So I'm really glad that he's kind of...
You got to explore that.
And that, Maxim's playing him and he's great, and I just can't wait to see where that goes.
Well, actually, similarly for me, Galadriel, I wanted to see more of, and I'm very excited to see more of with Clark's. Already her performance that I have seen has blown me away. And I think similarly, exploring that story is one that is fascinating to me.
It's the way that... I feel like Tolkien has this really interesting impact and the ability to make children feel like adults witnessing something important, and adults feel like children witnessing something wondrous. And that's a really unique thing, that when you're reading it, you can feel like you're having the curtain pulled back for you on this mythology that feels real. Yes. It feels like if you had a time machine, you could actually kind of go back to some time in which Middle Earth or a place like it may have actually existed, and getting to see these powerful objects, these powerful beings, and these deeply human stories of pride and power and fall and corruption and then redemption and healing, are such powerful tectonic human soul stories that as soon as I experienced them, I couldn't get enough of them.
When you have something of this scale and it's so beautiful, how tempted are you to take some stuff back home as mementos? I mean, come on. Did you guys get a chance to do that?
I've got an elf ear back home, which I was gifted by someone. The sword that I use, I would love to take that home, and I've been begging so many people, but I haven't been allowed to yet. But I think I'm going to manifest it that I will, and I'm going to ask to get 2 so I can auction one off to charity as well.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's hopefully,
yeah. I took my hair home.
Oh,
yeah. So I have
what was that like?
Bronwyn's hair. It's wonderful. I think it's just a nice memento to remind me of her. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to take the ring that I wear. which we developed in a discussion with Kate Orley, who's our costume designer.
Yeah.
And it's a gold ring with Elvish engraved around it, which says "Safe Return," which was a gift from Elendil's wife because he's a mariner going out on his boat. So that's
a great one.
Yeah.
I kind of got lucky because I already have some bits and bobs.
Oh wow!
Well, no. My character has she draws and she has a notebook and I spent a lot of time drawing with Daniel Reeve, who made Bilbo's handwriting, and because of all the time I spent with him, I have things he's written, I have things I've written, I have his drawings and my drawings all in the big book. Yeah.
Well, we got great drawings from Emma, who drew Maxim and I.
Oh wow! Do we get to see that ever? Are you putting that out?
I'd probably take Lloyd's wig and just make a little Elendil statue at home, something I could admire and see.
It's all my own hair, people. It's all my own hair.
It would make me happy when I go to sleep.
I would take certainly some things from my workshop. We did a photo shoot and I had a golden scroll. I don't know if you remember the advertising campaign initially was just our hands holding various objects, and Celebrimbor's was a golden scroll. And you pull it and you pull out a map or a plan or whatever. That would be a nice thing to have.
What about you?
Me and Kate Hawley, who's the great costume designer on the show, came up with this wonderful piece, which maybe you, so I won't talk about it too much, but it's part of a travelling garb. It was a beautiful thing that never was seen in the show, and there's so many versions of that. Things that were created and thrown out that I thought were incredible, or things that were kept but not seen. But the great thing is that we have so much scale, hopefully, and ability to, go back and maybe they'll be seen next time.
Poppy wears a spoon on her belt. That's sort of like a badge of honour in the Proud Fellow family. So I think I'd take that.
Oh, good one.
Very good one. I think I would take Nori wears an anklet. Kind of the one of the amazing things about the costume designer Kate Hawley was that she created these apple seeds that every half-foot had, and they'd be to varying degrees depending on how many half-foots they'd lost. So the elders of the community had a particularly large amount of them, and they were kind of threaded within the costumes, and so I think that was kind of something that I had an anklet, which I would love to have taken with me.
Right.
I've said this before. I'd like to take the feet.
Ooh.
I'd like to hang out on the weekend with my feet on, just wiggling the toes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, going to the shops. I just like to take the feet because they're so beautifully made, and they work so hard to perfect them and make them comfortable and feel like our own feet. That I'd love to take Marigold's feet.
Right. When you have material this vast, right, and you have characters that are iconic, like you name Saruman, or you name Sauron, or you name Gandalf, or Galadriel, all of these people we've grown to know.
Yep.
For those who haven't read the books or watched the films, and this could be their window into this mystical world, what was it? Was that also a perspective for you while making this?
Yes, we were really, it was really important to us that this show could be for a really wide audience. It could be for super fans. So if you can order your coffee in Elvish and are really far down the rabbit hole, awesome. There will be Easter eggs for you, and there's things in every frame that you can freeze frame, and you can read the Tengwar script on the hilt of a sword and see what Elvish poem it's referencing. Or if you've never seen the movies, you've never read the books, you've never even worn a ring before, you could jump into our show and the human drama of it, and the Elvish drama and the Dwarvish drama, but the characters and the stories will be enough to, we hope will be enough to, just sweep you into Middle Earth and to get you then to invest in a larger mythology, and then hopefully eventually people will decide they want to read the books and do the deep dive.
Also, welcome to India.
Thank you.
The land of folk tales and folklore. How has it been? Have you got time to do anything, eat anything, explore the country?
Just a little bit, yeah. No, I just got here about 36 hours ago, and I went out to the streets and met really interesting people. Right away had
Oh wow, you've done that.
someone tied this around my wrist and gave me a blessing, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I also went and got some food and had amazing taste sensations explode into my mouth, which were amazing. And just got to drive around the city just a little bit, but I'm planning on doing more tomorrow. But I've loved Indian food for years. I enjoyed some Bollywood films and Indian music, and had Indian friends. I actually have an Indian friend here with me right now who came from the States to kind of be with me during the premiere. And so it's so amazing to finally get to put my feet on this amazing soil.
Had incredible food.
Yeah.
Did anything stand out that you were like, oh, let me just have a spoon more of that. Let me get another bite.
We had this dessert.
It's orange.
It's a traditional Indian dessert.
We spoke about this yesterday.
Our wonderful chef was telling us about it, and it's the type of thing is a laddu.
It's a laddu. Yes.
And we had
it's sweet. It just sort of bursts into your mouth.
And our particular laddu was a mata.
Was it a savory or sweet?
It was sweet, but it was sweet, but it was only just sweet.
Yeah. Was it matachur?
I can't believe I missed out.
Motichur. Not bad. You got it right. Motichur laddu. Yeah. Yes. Yellow bright orange.
We were we were so happy to have it, not only because it tasted delicious, but because it was such a traditional Indian dessert that we were. Yeah, it had.
And he learnt it from his mother.
You
could feel the history in the taste. It was really. It was lovely.
Yes.
Right, I had such a deep and profound experience and joyful experience working here, and I was so happy when the plane came into Mumbai. I was like, I'm back. It was really exciting. And I was just saying to these two that that we haven't got much time this time, but get out there as much as you can and feel the city. It's incredible.
Would you be up for another Bollywood film?
Oh, definitely. And I've told these two, if they get the opportunity, grab it with both hands.
Do you have anything on your list that you want to sort of do, given the time that you have in the city?
I actually went out yesterday morning and just had a walk through the streets, and I love kind of just having a walk, because you get a sense for the city, and it's so vibrant and so great.
I love the food. This is my second time in India because I filmed Hotel Mumbai here for a couple of months. So I did my exploring of Mumbai, Rajasthan. It was beautiful. This trip, I don't know how much time we're going to get, but I hope to be able to. I really wanted to take Tyro around Mumbai. I mean, I've had the good fortune of working with Anupam Kher in Hotel Mumbai and Nimrat Kaur in Homeland. So they introduced me really to the world of Bollywood, and it brings me such joy. I think, and also because I'm Iranian, a lot of Iranians grew up with Bollywood movies.
Absolutely.
It's very big in Iran.
The project also has been so much guarded in the sense of fans are so excited. There was Comic-Con and there was all of that excitement. There are theories going online of what the series will be. What is the one thing you want to sort of tell everybody who's on the edge of their seats, just waiting to stream this?
It's a really good balance of the familiar. You'll find if you love the trilogy, the films, you'll find something that's familiar in this, the books. And then also it's a really healthy, refreshing injection of new and unseen. You'll see Numenor for the first time.
Yes.
You'll see coastlines, which we haven't seen on screen before in the Tolkien world. And I'm just really excited for audiences to see it.
What's this going to be like for that 12-year-old that I was when I read the books, and my son was when I read The Hobbit? What's it going to be like to sit down and watch The Rings of Power for the first time, to receive Tolkien and his imagination on such a scale? So I'm just really excited about that, and the people that I've worked with who are some phenomenally good actors in the show, and it's been beautiful to make some magic with them. Hopefully, you.
The sense of togetherness, I think. Yes. I really hope that people come together to watch it and feel better.
I'm so excited for people to see it.
Well, I mean, I'd love them to know a little about the story. I'd love to know we are doing obviously the story of the Forging of the Rings of Power, the Rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the Fall of Numenor, and the Last Alliance of Elves and Men. I'd love to tell them that this is a 50-hour story that we have planned out. From the beginning, we were very lucky to know that Amazon had committed, to make this, huge story. And so it's not just something we're sort of making up as we go along. Tolkien has given us the breadcrumbs and all the clues we need to be able to, adapt this world and to bring it to life in the most spectacular way possible. I also want people to know, especially the hardcore fans, how much this material means to us. This is something that we do as a labor of love. I expect one day to meet J.R.R. Tolkien. After I die and go to the other side, I will sit down with him, maybe in a format somewhat like this, where I expect to look him in the eye and he'll ask me, "What did you do with my legacy?" Because this will be the last thing I say, is that I feel like this is a time in the world's history in which we're all going through a lot of darkness. Every generation suffers in its own unique way. But our generation is going through the economic distress, political distress, social unrest, military unrest in various parts of the world, and there's a lot of entertainment out there that is just sort of disposable. You watch it one day, you forget it the next. Tolkien is something that sticks with you.
On that note, thank you so much. Thank you for making this. Thank you for, kudos to all the hard work that has gone behind this, from the lightman to the technician to the cast. Congratulations.
Thousands of people.
Thousands of people. Really looking forward to Rings of.
A lot of them in India. We had a lot of great visual effects work that was done here as well.
Yes, I believe so. So on that note, looking forward to watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jade.
Appreciate it.
That's all we could pack in our special broadcast. Hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did while producing it. Keep watching our daily show in the club from Monday to Friday at 2:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. only on India Today to get your daily dose of entertainment. Also, do not forget to send me your feedback on Twitter handle. This is me, Dipali Patel, signing off. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
A new published report states who are the world's highest paid actors. And guess what? Tom Cruise is the highest paid Hollywood actor in the world. His movie Top Gun Maverick earned him $100 million. Now we do love seeing good old Tom in action. Well, right after him, it is Will Smith. Remember the Oscar slap? Yes, the same guy. He earned $35 million for Emancipation, but the film is yet to be released. It's scheduled to release in 2023. The film is based on a slave who escapes from Louisiana plantations. Following him is the Titanic movie star Leonardo DiCaprio, along with Fight Club star Brad Pitt. They both demanded $30 million. Well, following them are stars like Dwayne Johnson, Will Ferrell, Chris Hemsworth, Vin Diesel and Tom Hardy, who charged $20 million for their movies. Apart from this, the fan favorite Stranger Things star Millie Bobby Brown is the highest paid actress under 20. As per our sources, the rising star will earn $10 million for her upcoming series Enola Holmes 2. Millie gained fanship from her role in Stranger Things as 11. Fans are eagerly awaiting the final season of Stranger Things, which will air in 2023. Out of these mega stars, who's your favorite? What do you think stars closer home in India earn? Tell us in the comments.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
I don't read the news. I read between the lines to tell you the true version of events. The true story of our times.
To document grief, the toughest assignment for any journalist to be.
From those who matter.
Women politicians going to stick up for each other.
Of those who should matter. I document the truth. I don't distort the truth. I don't glamorize the truth. I don't gloss over the truth.
The ghosts of India's contentious medieval history have come knocking again.
I hustle for the truth. On the ground, in the newsroom, in the studio. I don't try to grab eyeballs.
I inform you to make you see the point.
To the Point with Preeti Chaudhary. At these times, only on India Today.
Co-powered by RK Marble, Khoobsurat Imandari. In association with JioMart, Har Ghar Ka Mart.
You are watching India Today.
You're watching India Today. I'm Nabila Jamal. The headlines first. Hours after arrest, rape accused Lingayat Seer complains of chest pain. He's being shifted to a Bengaluru hospital now. He's using health issues really as an excuse. Questions asked by activists. Rape accused Seer sent to 14-day judicial custody. Karnataka Chief Minister says that he has given a free hand to the police. The arrest comes after our channel's relentless coverage, India Today's campaign demanding action. Finally, the man has been arrested. In a big boost to Indian armed forces, India gets first indigenous aircraft carrier. Prime Minister Modi inducts 20,000 crore INS Vikrant. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also unveils the Indian Navy ensign. The Navy flag loses St. George Cross. Prime Minister Modi unveils this new sign with the stamp of Shivaji. More revelations in Sonali Phogat's murder. The case, a video now of accused hours after the murder resurfaces. Sonali and PS transactions under lens. Bottle used to drug Sonali also found. All right, here's some big news that we're currently tracking. The Seer, after 6 hours of being in jail, Seer now shifted out of jail. Is he really ill? Is he really making excuses of his health to evade jail? Special treatment for rape accused Seer is a question here, as Seer has been shifted to a hospital right after 6 hours of him being in jail. Seer to be shifted to Bengaluru Hospital. Room number 6 has been reserved for the Seer in the hospital. Murugha Seer to be kept in a separate room. The Seer to be kept away from other patients. Seer's health excuse to evade jail is the question. Remember, after almost 7 days of evading arrest, the Seer finally is now in police custody. He's been granted judicial custody of 14 days. And while he was in prison, barely 6 hours after he was in jail, he was quickly moved out to a hospital as he claimed chest pain. As he landed in the hospital, there were several medical tests that were done on him, including a CT scan, ECG, etc. In fact, he was even taken to the ICU. He was admitted in the ICU where all these tests were also carried out. And the Seer remains in hospital, and in a little while from now, he's going to be moved to a finer hospital in Bengaluru. Now, the question, of course, asked is if this Seer is really making all the excuses in the world to stay away from jail. Here, we're looking at the Seer at this point at a hospital in Chitradurga as he complains of chest pain. Now, more information coming in. Sessions Court has summoned police as well as the jail superintendent. Judge Komala has instructed prison officials to produce the Seer Shivmurthy Sharanaru at the court by 3 p.m. The police had appealed to seek 5 days police custody of the Seer for questioning. The court has questioned the whereabouts of the Seer with the prison police. Court hits out at the police for not intimating the court officials before he was shifted to the hospital. It appears that the Seer was taken to the hospital without informing the court. There's due process of law that's to be followed. Concerned officials, court authorities need to be updated considering the man has been booked under the POCSO Act. Here, court asking why they were not intimated on the Seer being moved to a hospital citing chest pain. The judge has asked the prison superintendent to either produce the accused Seer or submit the medical reports to court. The plea was filed at 2nd Sessions Court, Sessions District in Chitradurga. Why no notice before he was hospitalized? This is exactly what the Sessions Court asks. Sessions Court now summoning the police and jail superintendent. The Judge Komala has instructed the prison officials to produce Seer Shivmurthy Sharanaru at the court by 3 p.m. We're talking about 3 p.m. as of now. Will he be brought to court at this minute? That remains to be seen, considering the man has been kept in hospital claiming that he has chest pain and he's in the ICU. He's all set to be moved to another hospital in Bengaluru to Jayadeva. All these movements, the court absolutely unaware of, asking why were we not intimated on these developments. While a POCSO accused has been asked to stay in judicial custody for 15 days, this man, the Seer, was rushed to a hospital as he claimed to have chest pain. He seems to be fine. CT scan, ECG, all of that has been carried out. They're waiting for the reports. And he's now going to be moved to a better hospital in Bengaluru. But in the meanwhile, the court which has granted for 15-day judicial custody is asking why were we not informed. Sagai Raj joining us for more. Sagai, the police now under scanner by court. Police has appealed to seek 5 days custody of the Seer for questioning. Court now asking where is this man? Why was the court not informed about him being moved from judicial custody to a hospital for whatever medical tests? Why were adequate officials or those responsible for his custody not informed of the movements?
Absolutely. These are the questions which have been raised by the court to the police. Why they have not informed much before Seer Shivmurthy Sharanaru was shifted from prison to the hospital, because there is a procedure that should be followed. Because within 2 hours of him sensibly behind bars, he was being complained of chest pain as well as cardiac issue, and subsequently he was being shifted to the hospital. But they haven't kept court in the loop about this entire issue. As a part of investigation, the police have filed a petition in the court seeking for a police custody, because for security reasons he was being sent to judicial custody. For questioning, he will be always summoned for police custody. When the case was being heard today, they had asked to produce the accused in this particular case. And that's when the prison officials have said that he's been shifted to hospital. He was unwell. That's when the judge have questioned him, questioned the judge superintendent, why you have even shifted without keeping court informed about his movements. Now they have to either produce him or submit the medical reports at 3 p.m. Subsequently, the judge will take a decision on that. Depending upon that, the police will either shift him or he will stay back for a further treatment.
You know, now it appears that he's been asked to appear before court at 3 p.m. We're already looking at 3 p.m. here. What do you think will be the action now taken by the police? Will they really produce him, pull him out of hospital and take him to court immediately?
So James Supreme has already taken the medical reports to the court. As we speak now, he's at the court where he'll be producing the medical report and seeking the court's permission to shift him to Bengaluru Hospital for higher treatment. Remember, this district surgeon has already given a suggestion that they don't have enough facility here in Chitradurga for further treatment. He should be either shifted to Davangere or Bengaluru, but the ultimate call has been taken to shift to Bengaluru.
All right, Sagai, thank you very much for joining us with those details. But really startling information coming in that the man has complained of chest pain. He was moved to hospital and the court says that they have no idea. The man was ideally supposed to be in judicial custody, but none of the officials have informed the court that he's been moved out to a hospital, he's taking treatment, he's in the ICU, etc. And now they're moving him to another hospital in Bengaluru. All these developments, the court says they were unaware. Now, hours after his arrest, the rape-accused Murugha Mutt Seer has complained of chest pain. In fact, the Seer was taken to the district prison at 3 a.m. He's complained to have chest pain. Cardiac issue was a concern, and then they moved him to hospital at 8:30 a.m. He was shifted to Chitradurga Government Hospital at 9:10 a.m., which means that the rape-accused Seer spent only 6 hours in jail. Now, in the health issue, then, where what activists are asking really here is this man complaining of chest pain right when he's been taken to judicial custody. Is this a mere excuse for him to escape prison? In fact, many of them calling this entire arrest itself of the Seer a massive sham. After complaining of chest pain, the Seer was brought in an ambulance where he underwent a CT scan soon as he arrived in the hospital. Then he underwent an ECG. He was also carried around in a wheelchair as if to make it look that he's really ill. But the irony here is the same Seer, just yesterday, fresh visuals came in from his Mutt premises where he was seen very happily walking around hale and hearty inside his own Mutt. The Seer is now being moved to Bengaluru Jayadeva Hospital. He will be kept on the 6th floor away from regular patients. Of course, one only would wonder, is this a new way to give special treatment to the Murugha Mutt Seer Shivmurthy? Is the official machinery itself collectively working to keep this prominent Lingayat Seer safe? These questions echo on the streets of Chitradurga.
ಈಗ ದಾವಣಗೆರೆಯಿಂದ ಇಬ್ಬರು ತಜ್ಞ ವೈದ್ಯರನ್ನು ಹಾರ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಇಬ್ಬರು ತಜ್ಞ ವೈದ್ಯರನ್ನು ಕರೆಸಿದ್ವಿ. ಈಗ ಅವರು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ರೋಗಿಯನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಯನ್ನು ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಕೂಲಂಕುಷವಾಗಿ ಪರೀಕ್ಷಿಸಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ವರದಿಯನ್ನು ನಮಗೆ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಚೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪೇನ್ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ BP ಶುಗರ್ ಇದೆ ಈಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರು. ಜೊತೆಗೆ 2 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಅವರು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅವರು. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ ECG ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ತಿರುಗಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಾರಿ ಈಗ ECG ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇರೋದು ದೃಢಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಒಂದು ಇವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಯೇಷನ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬೈಯರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ಗೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ನಮಗೆ
ನಮ್ಮ ಫಿಸಿಷಿಯನ್ ಅವರು ತಪಾಸಣೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಸಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ತಗೋಬೇಕಂತ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ತಂಡನ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅವರು ದಾವಣಗೆರೆ SSIMS ಇಂದ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಬ್ರು ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ರು ಡೆಪ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮಾನ್ಯ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳ ಆದೇಶದ ಮೇರೆಗೆ.
Since about 3 hours, medical examination is going on by the different doctors. So recently, 15 minutes back, preliminary diagnosis that he is having serious heart problem. So it requires ICU because treatment is going. If the treatment is going in ICU, there is a more care instead of shifting treatment in the general ward. He is having other diseases previously, spine and lungs. Heart problem is developed, I think, today morning because heart is not. It is. We don't know when it is happen.
ಒಂಥರ ಷಡ್ಯಂತರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಬಸವರಾಜನ್ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣನೇ ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ರಶ್ಮಿಯನ್ನ ವಾರ್ಡನ್ ಕೂಡ ಬಸವರಾಜನ್ರವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನನ್ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ರಶ್ಮಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾನು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಅವರು ಮಕ್ಕಳನ್ನ ತುಂಬಾ ಟಾರ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಹೊಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಬಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಬಾಯಿಯಿಂದ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿರೋದೇನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ರಶ್ಮಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇನೆ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಇದರಿಂದ ಇನ್ನು ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
Now, the state government claims to have given a free hand to the police to carry out a fair investigation. But so far, the fact that it delayed for at least 7 days before his arrest really would leave us bewildered whether this was really a serious free hand given to the police or it was just namesake before the media. Listen in to what the government said.
ಕಾನೂನು ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಡೀತದೆ. ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುವುದು ಸರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತವಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಯಾವುದೇ ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್ ಫೈನಲಿ. ಪೊಲೀಸರು ಏನಾದ್ರು ರಿಮಾಂಡ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರಾ ಸರ್, ಕಸ್ಟಡಿ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸರ್, ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ
ಕೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಜುಡಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಕಸ್ಟಡಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಹೌದು ಸರ್,
ನಾನು ನೋಡಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ
ಸರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್ ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸರ್?
ಸಾಕಷ್ಟಿದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಏನು ಆಗ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲೂ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಪ್ಲಾಯ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾರು ಕಾನೂನು ಕೈಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಭಾಯಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾರೆ.
ಅಲ್ಲ, ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಗಳಿಂದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಕರ್ಸಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್?
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಕ್ಕಪಕ್ಕದಿಂದ ಕರ್ಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಚಿತ್ರದುರ್ಗ
ರಾಪಿಡ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್
ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವ KSRP, DAR, ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಪೊಲೀಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ
ಸರ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 144 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಾಕೊಂತೀರಾ ಸರ್? ಚಿಂತನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಿಲ್ಲಾಡಳಿತ ನಿಶ್ಚಯ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಏನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ. ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ
ಸರ್. ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಭಕ್ತಾದಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಇದೆ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ತಯಾರಿ.
All right, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is right now in Bengaluru in Karnataka, the pole-bound state, where he's all set to unveil projects worth 3,800 crores. Let's take a quick look as he addresses an audience.
3 करोड़ से अधिक घर बनाए गए हैं. कर्नाटका में भी गरीबों के लिए 8 लाख से ज्यादा पक्के घरों के लिए स्वीकृति दी गई है. मध्यम वर्ग के हजारों परिवारों को भी अपना घर बनाने के लिए करोड़ों रुपयों की मदद दी गई है. जल जीवन मिशन के तहत सिर्फ 3 वर्षों में ही देश में 6 करोड़ से अधिक घरों में पाइप से पानी की सुविधा पहुंचाई गई है. कर्नाटका के भी 30 लाख से ज्यादा ग्रामीण परिवारों तक पहली बार पाइप से पानी पहुंचा है. मुझे खुशी है कि इन सुविधाओं की सबसे अधिक लाभार्थी हमारी बहनें हैं, हमारी बेटियां हैं. साथियों, गरीब की बहुत बड़ी आवश्यकता इलाज की सस्ती सुविधा और सामाजिक सुरक्षा होती है. जब गरीब पर संकट आता है तो पूरा परिवार और कई बार आने वाली पीढ़ियां तक मुश्किल में पड़ जाती है. गरीब को इस चिंता से आयुष्मान भारत योजना ने मुक्ति दिलाई है. आयुष्मान भारत योजना के तहत देश के करीब करीब 4 करोड़ गरीबों को अस्पताल में भर्ती रहते हुए मुफ्त इलाज मिल चुका है. इससे गरीबों के करीब करीब 50,000 करोड़ रुपए खर्च होने से बचे हैं. आयुष्मान भारत का लाभ कर्नाटका के भी 30 लाख से अधिक गरीब मरीजों को मिला है और उन्हें भी 4,000 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की बचत हुई है। भाई और बहनों, आजादी के बाद दशकों तक हमारे यहां ऐसी स्थिति रही कि सिर्फ साधन संपन्न वालों को ही विकास का लाभ मिला। जो आर्थिक दृष्टि से कमजोर थे, उन्हें पहली बार विकास के लाभ से जोड़ा गया है। जिनको आर्थिक दृष्टि से छोटा समझकर भुला दिया गया था, हमारी सरकार उनके साथ भी खड़ी है। छोटे किसान हो, छोटे व्यापारी हो, मछुआरे हो, रेहड़ी पटरी ठेले वाले हो, ऐसे करोड़ों लोगों को पहली बार देश के विकास का लाभ मिलना शुरू हुआ है। वो विकास की मुख्य धारा से जुड़ रहे हैं। पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि के तहत देश के 11 करोड़ से अधिक किसानों के बैंक खातों में लगभग 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए ट्रांसफर किए गए हैं। कर्नाटका के भी 55 लाख से ज्यादा छोटे किसानों को लगभग 10,000 करोड़ रुपए मिल चुके हैं। पीएम स्वनिधि के तहत देश के 35 लाख रेहड़ी पटरी ठेले वाले भाई बहनों को आर्थिक मदद मिली है। इसका लाभ कर्नाटक के भी लगभग 2 लाख स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स को हुआ है। मुद्रा योजना के माध्यम से देश भर में छोटे उद्यमियों को लगभग 20 लाख करोड़ रुपए से अधिक का लोन दिया गया है। कर्नाटका के भी लाखों छोटे उद्यमियों को लगभग 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए का बैंक लोन दिया जा चुका है। साथियों, कोस्टल बेल्ट में बसे गांव, पोर्ट के इर्द गिर्द बसे साथियों, मछली पालन से जुड़े हमारे भाई बहनों के जीवन को बेहतर बनाने के लिए डबल इंजन की सरकार विशेष प्रयास कर रही है। थोड़ी देर पहले ही यहां मछली पालन से जुड़े साथियों को किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड दिया गया। गहरे समंदर में मछली पकड़ने के लिए जरूरी नावें, आधुनिक वेसल्स भी दिए गए हैं। पीएम मत्स्य संपदा योजना के तहत मिल रही सब्सिडी हो या फिर मछुआरों को किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड की सुविधा, मछुआरों के कल्याण और आजीविका बढ़ाने के लिए पहली बार इस तरह के प्रयास हो रहे हैं। आज कुलई में फिशिंग हार्बर का भूमि पूजन भी हुआ है। बरसों से हमारे फिशरीज सेक्टर से जुड़े भाई बहन इसकी मांग कर रहे थे। ये जब बनकर तैयार हो जाएगा तो मछुआरों की अनेक समस्याओं का समाधान हो जाएगा। इस प्रोजेक्ट से सैकड़ों मछुआरे, हमारे उन परिवारों को मदद मिलेगी, अनेक लोगों को रोजगार भी मिलेगा। साथियों, डबल इंजन की सरकार देश के लोगों की आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने के लिए दिन रात मेहनत कर रही है। देश की जनता की आकांक्षा हमारी सरकार के लिए जनता के आदेश की तरह है। देश के लोगों की आकांक्षा है कि भारत में वर्ल्ड क्लास इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो। आज देश के कोने कोने में आधुनिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का निर्माण हो रहा है। देश के लोगों की आकांक्षा है कि हमारे ज्यादा से ज्यादा शहर मेट्रो कनेक्टिविटी से जुड़े हो। हमारी सरकार का प्रयास है। उसी की वजह से पिछले 8 साल में मेट्रो से जुड़े शहरों की संख्या 4 गुना हो चुकी है। देश के लोगों की आकांक्षा है उन्हें आसानी से हवाई उड़ान की सुविधा मिले। उड़ान योजना के तहत अब तक 1 करोड़ से ज्यादा यात्री हवाई जहाज में सफर कर चुके हैं। देश के लोगों की आकांक्षा है कि भारत में क्लीन इकोनॉमी हो। आज डिजिटल पेमेंट ऐतिहासिक स्तर पर है और भीम यूपीआई जैसे हमारे इनोवेशन दुनिया का ध्यान खींच रहे हैं। देश के लोग आज तेज इंटरनेट चाहते हैं, सस्ता इंटरनेट चाहते हैं, देश के कोने कोने में इंटरनेट चाहते हैं। आज करीब 6 लाख किलोमीटर ऑप्टिकल फाइबर बिछाकर ग्राम पंचायतों को जोड़ा जा रहा है। 5G की सुविधा इस क्षेत्र में नई क्रांति लाने वाली है। मुझे खुशी है कि कर्नाटका की डबल इंजन की सरकार भी तेज गति से लोगों की आवश्यकता और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने के लिए काम कर रही है। साथियों, भारत के पास 7,500 किलोमीटर से भी ज्यादा किलोमीटर कोस्टलाइन है। देश के इस सामर्थ्य का हमें भरपूर लाभ उठाना है। यहां का करावली कोस्ट और वेस्टर्न घाट भी अपने टूरिज्म के लिए इतना मशहूर है। मुझे बताया गया कि हर क्रूज सीजन में न्यू मैंगलोर पोर्ट औसतन 25,000 टूरिस्टों को हैंडल करता है। इसमें बहुत बड़ी संख्या में विदेशी नागरिक भी होते हैं। यानी संभावनाएं बहुत है। और जिस तरह भारत में मध्यम वर्ग की शक्ति बढ़ रही है, भारत में क्रूज टूरिज्म की संभावनाएं और ज्यादा बढ़ती जा रही है। जब टूरिज्म बढ़ता है तो उसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ हमारे कुटीर उद्योग, हमारे आर्टिजन्स, ग्राम उद्योग, रेहड़ी पटरी ठेले वाले भाई बहन, ऑटो रिक्शा चालक, टैक्सी ड्राइवर, ऐसे समाज के छोटे तबके के लोगों को टूरिज्म से बहुत लाभ होता है। मुझे खुशी है कि न्यू मैंगलोर पोर्ट क्रूज टूरिज्म बढ़ाने के लिए लगातार नई सुविधाएं जोड़ रहा है। साथियों, जब कोरोना का संकट शुरू हुआ था तो मैंने आपदा को अवसर में बदलने की बात कही थी। आज देश ने इस आपदा को अवसर में बदलकर दिखा दिया है। कुछ दिनों पहले जीडीपी के जो आंकड़े आए हैं वो दिखा रहे हैं कि भारत ने कोरोना काल में जो नीतियां बनाई, जो निर्णय लिए, वो कितने महत्वपूर्ण थे। पिछले साल इतने ग्लोबल डिस्रप्शन के बावजूद भारत ने $670 बिलियन यानी 50 लाख करोड़ रुपए का टोटल एक्सपोर्ट किया। हर चुनौती से पार पाते हुए भारत ने $418 बिलियन यानी 31 लाख करोड़ रुपए के मर्चेंडाइज एक्सपोर्ट का नया रिकॉर्ड बनाया। आज देश के ग्रोथ इंजन से जुड़ा हर सेक्टर पूरी क्षमता से चल पड़ा है। सर्विस सेक्टर भी तेजी से ग्रोथ की तरफ बढ़ रहा है। पीएलआई स्कीम का असर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर पर दिखने लगा है। मोबाइल फोन सहित पूरे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में कई गुना वृद्धि हुई है। टॉयज का इंपोर्ट 3 साल में जितना घटा है, करीब करीब उतना ही एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ा है। इन सभी का लाभ सीधे सीधे देश के उन कोस्टल एरिया को भी हो रहा है जो भारतीय सामान को एक्सपोर्ट के लिए अपने संसाधन मुहैया कराते हैं, जहां बेंगलुरु जैसे बड़े पोर्ट है। साथियों, सरकार के प्रयासों से देश में बीते वर्षों में कोस्टल ट्रैफिक में भी वृद्धि देखी गई है। देश के अलग अलग पोर्ट्स पर सुविधा और संसाधन बढ़ने की वजह से कोस्टल मूवमेंट अब और ज्यादा आसान हुआ है। सरकार की कोशिश है कि पोर्ट कनेक्टिविटी और बेहतर हो, इसमें और तेजी आए। इसलिए पीएम गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान के तहत रेलवे और रोड के 250 से ज्यादा प्रोजेक्ट की पहचान की गई है जो सीमलेस पोर्ट कनेक्टिविटी में मदद करेंगे। भाई और बहनों, अपनी वीरता और व्यापार के लिए प्रसिद्ध यह तटीय क्षेत्र विलक्षण प्रतिभाओं से भरा हुआ है। भारत के कई उद्यमी लोग यहीं के रहने वाले हैं। भारत के कई खूबसूरत द्वीप और पहाड़ियां कर्नाटका में ही है। भारत के कई मशहूर मंदिर और तीर्थ क्षेत्र यहीं पर है। आज जब देश आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है तो मैं रानी अब्बक्का और रानी चैन भैरा देवी उनको भी याद करना चाहूंगा। भारत की धरती को, भारत के कारोबार को गुलामी से बचाने के लिए उनका संघर्ष अभूतपूर्व था। आज निर्यात के क्षेत्र में आगे बढ़ रहे भारत के लिए ये वीर महिलाएं बहुत बड़ी प्रेरणा स्रोत है। हर घर तिरंगा अभियान को जिस प्रकार कर्नाटका के जन जन ने, हमारे युवा साथियों ने सफल बनाया, वो भी इस समृद्ध परंपरा का ही विस्तार है। कर्नाटका के करावली क्षेत्र में आकर राष्ट्रभक्ति की, राष्ट्रीय संकल्प की इस ऊर्जा से मैं हमेशा प्रेरित महसूस करता हूं। बेंगलुरु में दिख रही ये ऊर्जा ऐसे ही विकास की राह को उज्जवल बनाती रहे, इसी कामना के साथ आप सभी को विकास के इन प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए बहुत बहुत बधाई और बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। मेरे साथ जोर से बोलिए, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की।